Part 242. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2417. Except for Jia Yan, all the surrounding creatures from both sides were paying attention to the current scene. The people in the Zerg Queen's force have no idea what Jia Yan is doing, but they will not refuse Jia Yan's delay. After all, everyone wants to live longer. Moreover, in the universe, there is also a saying that long nights bring many dreams. As long as time drags on for a long time, anything can happen. As for the enemy, they are a little afraid of Jia Yan's clone. In addition, Jia Yan did not say whether his real body is nearby. If he is, the delay is not valid. Maybe this clone really wants to talk. Woolen cloth? So this scene seems quite weird. Black Sheep didn't guess that Jia Yan wanted to delay, but even if he figured it out, he didn't dare to take the initiative to attack before he determined the purpose of the clone. Don't forget, even if Black Sheep is facing only a clone, he is not sure. The last brief encounter is a lesson learned. At least Black Sheep doesn't think that the person behind him will take action before seeing the clone's methods. Help or something. Even a clone can't beat him, and the person behind him needs to take action. If the adult behind him is Black Sheep, he won't take action because of such an incompetent subordinate, right? If you die, you will die. It would be a shame for such a useless guy to die. So this is what Black Sheep is worried about on the side. Fighting with this time-delaying clone will be okay if nothing happens, but if something happens, he will be in danger. My friend, since you have never met me, it means that there should be no grudges between you and me. Why don't you and I take a step back? What you are here now is just a different person, and it will definitely not be us. There are such a large number of opponents. Just do this, keep the Zerg Queen, and it doesn't matter if we let others go. After Black Sheep said these words, not only Jia Yan was stunned, but also the group of Zerg Queen creatures behind him were all stunned. Next, all these creatures started whispering. Because what Black Sheep said was heartbreaking. He said that he would let them leave as long as the Zerg Queen stayed. This statement seemed to directly and openly cause them to betray the Zerg Queen. But at this moment, the end is already over. If they still follow the Zerg Queen, they will die. The remnants of the Zerg Queen's power are very loyal to the Zerg Queen, but many of them are wavering. There are even some who, like Leda, originally wanted to leave the Zerg Queen's power and develop in the outside world, but because Black Sheep wants to absorb everyone under its command, there have been many cases where strong men who left the Zerg Queen's power were intercepted by Black Sheep on the way out, so they had no choice but to follow the Zerg Queen. Got it? After all, no matter where you look at it, the ability and strength of the Zerg Queen are stronger than those of the Black Sheep, but she has been bullied by the dogs recently. Besides, there are also many people who completely hate the Black Sheep's character and approach. This has led to many strong people choosing to stay with the Zerg Queen. Anyway, they may be intercepted by the Black Sheep when they go out. But today, Black Sheep actually said that as long as the Zerg Queen stays, then they can leave. And the Black Sheep are no longer pursued. It should be right. Since Black Sheep dares to say such words in front of the adult's clone, it means that he has guaranteed the other party. If he goes back on his word, he is looking down on the adult. With the self-esteem of a strong man, maybe they will all hunt down the Black Sheep. They don't know what happens to others, but at least the current Black Sheep is scared to death of a powerful territory lord, let alone a territory lord with subspace talent. He has given a guarantee that there will never be any renegade. The courage. The mentality of several remaining subordinates began to falter. No. How could you do this? Doesn't Her Majesty the Queen always ask you to sit in the second row to listen to her sermons and explanations? Yes, the Queen has been so kind to you in the past, how could you let down her sincerity? What a guy, you want to betray the Queen. Beside these subordinates, Other loyal and old subordinates of the Zerg Queen's force were all admonishing them, even glaring at each other. Friends of the Zerg Queen's force, don't worry, Black Sheep is asking me, not your wishes. Suddenly, not far above the planet, Jia Yan's clone, who was confronting Black Sheep, stretched out the palm of a stone giant and waved it lightly, stopping everyone's commotion. When the people below heard this, they immediately fell silent. That's right, Black Sheep is negotiating with the avatar of this mysterious powerful man. Do you have any intention of talking to them? The fate and lives of them and others are originally in the control of these two people. Unfortunately, they think they have the right to make choices and fight over them. In fact, they are asking for trouble. Jia Yan smiled, and a smile bloomed on the face of the huge stone man. Black Sheep, please stop playing with human nature. As a domain lord, it would be really embarrassing for you to do this kind of thing. Jia Yan said calmly. Black Sheep's purpose is simple, yet effective. That is to deliberately say something during the confrontation that will shake everyone in the Zerg Queen's forces below, or even create a gap. After all, if the people below become divided into groups, those creatures that have some chance of survival will definitely be shaken, and then they may become enemies of the opposite group of people. Even if they cannot succeed, when they really start fighting later, the power of the Zerg Queen, the strong men here, will definitely become several factions, unable to work together. In short, Black Sheep is quite cunning. Fortunately, Jia Yan knew a lot about this kind of thing. He had encountered similar situations more than once in Biostar. Of course, in the North Star, using the strong voice to fight wars has long been accustomed to ordinary creatures, and the effect is not very obvious. But if you put it here, the effect is different. Fortunately, Jia Yan saw through his plan and spoke a simple sentence, which immediately woke up the subordinates in the Zerg Queen's force. Oh, this friend, I really didn't play with human nature or anything. If they fall apart because of my few words, it can only be said that they are not determined enough. Speaking of which, I can also be regarded as the queen of the Zerg. I used to be a part of the force, and I feel that they are just such a group of people. They are not united, they are confident in their looks, and they are just selfish people who only care about themselves. If I want any subordinates in the future, I will definitely select them. Most of it is trash. Black Sheep's words are getting more and more exaggerated. Jia Yan was not provoked or shocked by these words, and just continued to look at him indifferently. Have to admit, in terms of cleverness and speaking skills, Black Sheep is quite good. It's no wonder that the Zerg Queens in the past would like him. Moreover, Black Sheep's talent is indeed not bad, otherwise he would not be able to reach the domain lord level. But, Black Sheep, take all your words away. You know best whether the people in the Zerg Queen's force are as bad as you say. In addition, if possible, ask the strong man behind you to come forward. Well, I always find it a bit boring to chat with you alone, because, you don't seem to have that much depth. You. When Black Sheep heard Jia Yan's words, especially some of them that were very harsh, he felt his blood surge and he almost wanted to rush forward and fight Jia Yan. But he has not forgotten that this clone's combat power seems to be relatively weak, but it actually possesses some amazing and at the same time quite familiar skills. It was a small tie with him yesterday. If you are provoked and take action rashly, you will be at a disadvantage. What's more, is this clone's sense so sharp? Do you believe that there is a strong man behind you? In other words, did you see the adult behind you? So is such keen eyesight and perception because his clone is so strong, or is his true body really nearby? If so, why didn't my master feel its presence? This time, it was so real that the Black Sheep was even more afraid to take action. I'm sorry, my friend, I don't know the strong person behind this. Black Sheep smiled and covered up the matter. Even if there really is someone, as long as he doesn't say anything and others don't see the person, the so-called man behind the scenes will become false. And after that, today's matter will turn into him coming to the door alone, with the purpose of solving the internal struggle between the two factions within the Zerg Queen's power. In other words, although he is not very reasonable, it is not as serious as an invasion. So that guy is so timid and afraid that he doesn't even dare to show his true colors. Haha, it's me who thinks highly of him. Jia Yan shook his head, actually using the provocation method. The space of the galaxy was suddenly distorted. But when Jia Yan looked around, he found that there was nothing there except the dark starry sky. Oh, this is the uncomfortable thing about the clone. I don't know where this guy is at all. If I really want to make a sneak attack, this clone will definitely die in one hit. Jia Yan clearly knew that there must be a strong man in the dark. This was due to the keen detection ability of the senior domain master. But unfortunately, the other party just refused to go out. As long as the clone's strength is insufficient, there is really nothing he can do about it. However, Jia Yan felt that the person behind Black Sheep must not have dared to make a move at this moment, and was just observing him. So the clone continued to deceive and create momentum to make the two powerful men think that his real body was nearby and the problem would not be big. He never considered that he was waiting for his true form, that is, strong reinforcements, but how could the enemy be the same? A corner of the starry sky. A huge creature lurks silently in the starry sky, wrapping itself in the terrifying power of brainwaves. Although this kind of package can be observed by almost careful observation for Domain Lord level creatures, except for him and Black Sheep, there is also the possible mysterious subspace powerhouse who can observe him. Not to mention that his body is hidden far away, and even a Domain Lord level existence may not be able to detect his stealth if he accidentally glances over. Is this guy here in his true form? This creature with astonishing brainwave power silently observed the clone that was confronting the Black Sheep in the distance. Even if his true body is not around, I can't take action now, because destroying a clone will not help, and may even alert the enemy. He is thinking further than Black Sheep, and his overall view is more comprehensive. This is what a leader of power should look like. The existence of the Black Sheep's small belly and chicken intestines just happened to have a cunning exchange with it. Although it seems that I was delayed by the other party, in fact, I am also waiting for the arrival of Lord Gaia. As long as the Lord comes, it doesn't matter if he is even those with strong subspace talents cannot escape the pursuit of our three major domain lords and a large number of troops. This strong man has great confidence. It's not about having confidence in the Black Sheep, nor is it about having confidence in yourself. But I have confidence in the possible coming of Lord Gaia. Because that is a senior domain master. A senior domain master, if nothing else, he is destined to be among the best within hundreds of light years in this square garden. How could he not worry about such a shocking existence? I don't know what Master Gaia said. He was in a bad mood in the distribution center. Who provoked him? Is there anyone who dares to be presumptuous in front of a senior domain master? But this is also possible. In the universe, there are strange things, there are many things. Maybe there is someone who is not afraid of death? Lord Gaia destroyed him, so he must not be in a good mood. So I'd better let him come here and have fun. This powerful creature was quite in awe of the senior domain master behind him, who said he would come to observe this matter for entertainment. Much stronger than him. If they wanted to, one person could easily wipe out all the forces in their area. Of course, as the top leader of the Chamber of Commerce, he would not do such a thing to destroy the Great Wall. Black Sheep, tell me, are you going to leave or not? Suddenly, this hidden being discovered that the avatar of the mysterious powerful man chatting below had a slightly more aggressive tone. The Black Sheep who was chatting with Jia Yan's clone also changed his expression slightly at this time. He keenly noticed that Jia Yan's attitude changed rapidly. Reason? Very simple. I was more polite just now and asked Jiyuan to test and argue with each other. Now, Could it be? Could this strong man's clone feel that his true body is approaching this area? Humph, you want me to get out? My friend, what you said is not kind enough. Why? Just rely on my fists. Before Black Sheep could finish his words, a huge stone turned from stone struck him with a fierce punch with great force. What? The clone strikes first. What happened? This clone is very courageous. He dares to use his stellar strength to punch a domain lord. Is he seeking death? Black Sheep was completely stunned. But Jia Yan was not stunned. Text download address. Phone reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2418. A new volume has been released. In addition, it seems that the collection has exceeded 50,000 today. Thank you for your support. Jia Yan was clearly stalling for time just now. So the question is, why did he suddenly take action? The answer is too simple. That is, his true form has arrived near this area. Although there may be a gap in time, during this time, with the power of the clone, I can definitely delay the arrival of the real body. That's why he changed his previous approach of not taking action and delaying time, and started to attack quickly and actively. Actually, Jia Yan still hates Black Sheep deeply. He hates this guy very much. It is not an exaggeration to say that the two sides are enemies. And if Jia Yan left the Zerg Queen's force last time, he still felt that this guy had some shadow of a strong man and was an opponent worthy of his seriousness. But looking at it now, Black Sheep has changed so much in the past few years. In the past, it may have only shown a slightly disgusting mentality, but now it makes Jia Yan want to vomit. With such an enemy, Jia Yan had long wanted to fight him. If it weren't for delaying time, he might not be able to say a word to him. So when the real body arrived, he immediately asked his clone to take action. It doesn't matter even if this clone dies under the hands of the Black Sheep or the strong man behind it. Because clones of this level can already be mass-produced in Odysseus star, which is nothing more than a waste of resources and the loss of part of Jia Yan's mental power. Humph. This is just a star-level clone. I really think that my majestic domain lord will be afraid of you. Black Sheep's face turned cold. He also thought of something, but now the enemy has attacked his face, and it is useless to say anything else. Anyway, he is not worried about his own crisis, because that person is behind him, and that person is said to have a more powerful person behind him. Moreover, Black Sheep seemed to have something wrong with his spirit. The mysterious powerful domain master behind him used a rather strange brainwave power technology on him, which made Black Sheep a little hot-blooded, as if he had been injected with chicken blood. Not as timid as before. He unleashed his gravity talent. Buzz. Then he suddenly released a string of electric sparks from his black horns. Bang bang. Groan. After that, in front of Black Sheep who had done all this, the stone giant clone was blasted in his face. In fact, although the stone giant's speed is extremely fast for a star-level creature, in the eyes of a domain lord-level creature, it is incredibly slow and does not pose any risk at all. But precisely because this was the clone of the mysterious subspace domain lord, Black Sheep did not dare to look down upon him, so before Jia Yan's clone attack came, he used various methods of his own to defeat Jia Yan. Before the clone of Yan arrived, it caused the opponent's attack to be delayed, and even caused the clone to explode in one breath. If it were an ordinary star-level powerhouse, let alone a head-on battle with a territory lord, even if he was glared at by a territory lord, he would probably become delirious. But Jia Yan's clone is Jia Yan's clone. As the clone of a strong man, although his brainwave power is still stellar in quantity, in terms of quality, he is a proper domain lord. Biology. Therefore, the territory lord pressure that Black Sheep unleashed on him was of no use to him. With the gravity talent shot by the Black Sheep, Jia Yan swayed and used his positive and negative powers. The thighs of the two giant stone giants collided, causing part of his legs to break. Then I saw the body with one leg broken, suddenly using the positive and negative force to explode, suddenly using a speed exceeding the average galaxy level. It's very fast. But it's only the middle level speed of the galaxy. Black Sheep was startled by such a series of astonishing operations, but he was not too shaken in his heart, and instead fired his lightning. The bolt of lightning quickly penetrated into the body of Jia Yan's clone, and Jia Yan felt that his clone suddenly had a tendency to decompose. Drink. At this same moment, Jia Yan brazenly touched his two fists, causing one of his fists to explode like a foot, and pushed the other fist towards the Black Sheep's body to explode suddenly. This is the combat power of a Domain Lord clone. The terrifying combat ability is almost inherited from the Domain Lord's own combat analysis and combat style. What he saw was that all the spectators around him were amazed. You know, the levels of the two sides are very different. The energy level of a star-level powerhouse, to a Domain Lord, is like a fart. But unfortunately, the clone of this powerful man used the limited energy to maximize the results of the battle. The body that exploded with a bang reached unprecedented speed and strength due to the positive and negative forces. That's it? It's not enough. Black Sheep found that his two natural attacks were unable to stop the stone giant clone in front of him, and his face looked ugly. You know, he thinks that he can definitely easily kill the clone of the mysterious strong man in front of him. The only thing he is afraid of is that behind the clone, the mysterious strong man is much stronger than himself. He will kill him. Taking someone else's clone would offend this strong man very much. But what I never expected was that this powerful stone giant clone could withstand such a beating. You yourself are the Territory Lord. Don't you understand that the Territory Lord is the Territory Lord? The majesty of the Territory Lord cannot be insulted lightly. Die. The Black Sheep was angry. He also used his sheep's foot in the same way, kicking Jia Yan's clone body. Although it seems that Jia Yan has escaped the opponent's two major attacks, these two attacks were all resisted by the body part of Jia Yan's clone, and the interaction of positive and negative forces was used to explode. It is comparable to the power of a mid-level powerhouse in the galaxy. But at this moment, his clone was already in too much of a state of disarray, not to mention losing two parts of his body, and his energy seemed to have bottomed out. Buzz. However, there seems to be an invisible channel in the bottomed-out energy, which suddenly instills the power from a distant place into his body, causing the stone giant's clone to be directly resurrected with full blood. Black Sheep was stunned for a moment, but still sneered disdainfully and kicked his feet even harder. You know, he is a Territory Lord. He could kill a star-level person with just a smile. Now he may be dealing with the clone of an extremely powerful person, but the clone is the clone. How about the energy? It is impossible to exceed the upper limit of the star level of the clone body. Even if the strong man has been sending almost unlimited power into this body through strange methods, he cannot burst out power beyond the middle level of the galaxy. How could it cause any harm to the Black Sheep? So as soon as he felt that the energy transmitted by the mysterious strong man through the channel was only at the stellar level, he immediately sneered even more. He will not underestimate the strong man, but at this moment, he still does not think that it is the right choice for the strong man to let his clone fight his life and death. Because of this clone, to put it bluntly, it can't even make Black Sheep waste any more energy. So what if I recover? If you can withstand this blow, I lose. The Black Sheep pressed his feet hard into the center of the stone creature's chest. He is just a star-level powerhouse, and his chest is almost as big as Black Sheep's foot. With such a being, Black Sheep feels like he can kill 10 of them with one kick. But just when Black Sheep thought that he had stepped on the opponent's chest, a strange sound appeared on the stone giant's chest, exactly where the Black Sheep's feet were to be printed. Black Sheep, you made several mistakes. At this moment, he only heard the calm voice of the stone giant creature in front of him. As a strong man, even if he is using a clone at this time, his brainwave power usage skills and abilities are still domain lord level, so he can transmit a large amount of words in an instant. Of course, because the brain can't handle it, Jia Yan's ability to use the clone's voice transmission can only be said to be faster to a certain extent, but it is not as fast as those powerful domain lords who can have conversations quickly when fighting. So powerful. So this can be regarded as Jia Yan spitting out what he wanted to say in one breath. Mistake. Oh, Black Sheep almost laughed. It's just the clone of a strong man. Does he really think that he can't defeat this clone? Last time, it was because he was worried about something hiding behind the clone, and also because he was worried about whether the real body would be angry and come after him after the clone was killed by him. A clone is so difficult to kill, and he knows very well that he may not be able to defeat his real body. To put it bluntly, Black Sheep is just that. After seeing the prosperity and strength of the powerful people in the central star field of the Milky Way, he no longer has confidence, and his belief in life has also changed from being full of confidence to just wanting to "it would be nice to mix it up a little bit here." His great ambitions have turned into the cowardly person he is today, to the point where even a powerful star-level clone is scared to the point where he retreats. To be honest, the current Black Sheep is still supported by the supporter behind him, and he also deliberately lets his brainwave power affect him, otherwise he really would not be so bold, let alone so decisive. It can be seen that the current Black Sheep has long lost its ambition to be strong, and for Jia Yan, it is also a disappointment in a sense. Everyone would find it ridiculous that their enemy would become like this. Of course, today's Jia Yan doesn't care about Black Sheep. Besides, he is no longer relevant and cannot even deal with his own clone. But just as Black Sheep felt that Jia Yan's voice was ridiculous, he also felt a strange feeling coming from the chest area in front of his feet. That is the sound of subspace cracking. The Black Sheep was slightly shocked, and then its eyes widened. That's right. How could he forget? The clone of this powerful man is also gifted in the subspace. Even last time, he was shocked by the material used by the opponent's subspace. Why was it that when the battle started just now, I was confused by the appearance of this stone giant and thought that the opponent was a melee-type existence? Now, are you being tricked? No. Get back. At this moment, Black Sheep felt that his hair was standing on end, and he quickly wanted to pull away and retreat. It's a pity that Jia Yan, who is accurate in everything, will not give him so many opportunities. I saw a subspace rift opened in his chest, and a long passage inside extended to a very distant place. And at the farthest end of this passage, there is a bullet that has been detonated from thousands of kilometers away. It has already exploded and was pushed towards this place as if it were flying. None of this was an accident, nor was it a dangerous situation. It's about calculation. Everything seems to have been calculated to the extreme by this powerful man's clone from the very beginning of the battle. Even his punches, being countered and then retreating, and then the Black Sheep would kick himself with his feet, seemed to be calculated accurately. Incredible computing power. Far away in the starry sky, the inexplicable creature's eyes flashed fiercely, and a shock seemed to flash through his heart. But at this moment, no matter how shocked he was, it couldn't stop him from taking action. Because Black Sheep is the strongest general on his side besides himself, if this subordinate is seriously injured and loses his combat effectiveness, he is worried that if the being he invited does not arrive in time, and the other party's true form is here again, maybe I can't hold on. Puff. This powerful man who had been hiding for a long time and no one noticed it, at this moment, the power of his brainwaves squirmed and shot towards the center of the battlefield like flying. Everything happens in the blink of an eye. For the weak outsiders, they only saw this moment. The Black Sheep shook away the stone giant clone of the space strongman, and then made a stamp with his foot. If nothing unexpected happens, the power of this terrifying territory lord level man is enough to kill even the primary creatures in the galaxy. What's more, the strength of this clone is only a mere star level. So they all thought that this clone was finished. The remaining strong men of the Zerg Queen's force were all despairing. The subordinates brought by Black Sheep are all happy. But they all miss the details. In other words, there are not many strong people who can see all the changes inside in this short moment. First, the Black Sheep stamped his feet. Then, a space crack appeared in the chest of the stone giant clone. Far away from the crack, a forward and reverse explosive that was like a loaded bullet was fired at the Black Sheep's feet, and it rushed towards the Black Sheep fiercely. On the other side, the hidden powerhouse who discovered this change suddenly released his brainwave power into the starry sky, trying to prevent the Black Sheep from being injured. The changes in this can be said to be lightning fast, and the various turning points are not something that ordinary strong people can understand and perceive. Of course, as for the final result, it depends on the current scene, which direction it will go. Did this hidden guy really take action? I'm afraid you won't. Text download address. Phone reading. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2419. Jia Yan had long known that the hidden strong man would take action. It's just that the clone is not strong enough after all. Even if it can feel a trace of the enemy's aura, it can't locate him. Now that the strong man's aura suddenly became stronger, Jia Yan realized that he was thousands of kilometers away from himself and others. It can be said that it is very close. Puff. Jia Yan retreated behind him, and then the force that came first suddenly arrived at the starry sky where Jia Yan was. His stone giant body rolled backwards. The power of that brainwave was so terrifying that it swept everything around fiercely, even the subspace rift that Jia Yan had just released was no exception. The bullet carrying extremely terrifying kinetic energy from inside the crack seemed to be pulled by some force, and its speed was greatly reduced when it shot out of the crack. But this power is not enough. At least the bullet with positive and negative force still penetrated the Black Sheep's foot. Fortunately, after it penetrated the foot, it did not hit his head again, otherwise the blow would have been very likely. It will cause Black Sheep to be seriously injured or even die. What a terrifying power! The powerful domain lord hiding deep in the starry sky felt his whole body gasp. He knew that Jia Yan's clone should be a bit powerful, but he never expected that the subspace object shot out was so powerful. When he used his brainwave power just now, he was prepared to block all the shooting objects used by the clone, because only in this way would there be enough impact. Black Sheep was unable to block objects that might even be injured, but he only used the power of his brainwaves to block them. For him, this was not only a threat to Black Sheep but also a threat to him that he no longer knew what he was doing. Regardless of their strength, all subordinates understand their own strength. Unfortunately, this show-off idea was not realized. Because he still underestimated the power of the shot object a little too much. Is it powerful enough to kill the weakest domain lord? It's terrible. This was done with a star-level clone. No matter what method is used, it shows that the real body behind him is probably of equal strength. Fear. The powerful creatures in that starry sky felt a little surprised. But when he was a little relaxed, he suddenly felt that there was a crisis approaching behind him. Although this sense of crisis was not that scary, it was something that made him feel a sense of crisis. The strong man made the correct judgment in an instant and moved to one side to avoid it. Call out. A fast small object shot out from the subspace and hit the original position of the strong man's body. If he hadn't moved out of the way, although the blow wouldn't have hurt him, he would have been disgraced and humiliated, and he wouldn't have been able to escape. Huh. Your Excellency, did you actually use your clone to provoke a powerful territory lord? The strong man's expression became cold after being forcibly forced out of his body. At the same time, his figure appeared in the entire starry sky because of his dodge just now. Probably in this mode of dodge, even if you avoid it, your face will be lost. Jia Yan's clone looked at the creature he had forced out from a distance. He had just judged the location of the other party through the aura that the other party showed when he helped Black Sheep. This is the instinctive ability of a strong domain lord. If it were replaced by a real star level, it would not even be as high as even the top mid-level galaxy masters of the territory lord might not be able to detect where the other party is. But precisely because Jia Yan is not an intermediate galaxy, but a territory lord equivalent to a senior level, he can detect the presence of the opponent, even if he is using a clone. It was precisely after knowing the location of the opponent's existence that Jia Yan made the decision to attack this possibly extremely powerful man. He is not really afraid of the other party. Even before the other party's identity was revealed, Jia Yan had already guessed it. Now that I look at it, it seems that his guess was not wrong. This strong man was exactly Jia Yan. He knew that in the nearby area where there were many strong men and various forces intertwined, he had hired the Zerg Queen's forces as mercenaries, and then alienated the Zerg Queen and Black Sheep, and finally took Black Sheep under his command. Even now, Black Sheep has come to the Zerg Queen's force just to increase the number of subordinates who can join the Zerg Queen's force. In other words, this strong man is probably the real culprit of this war. Of course, compared with Black Sheep, he is not that hateful. Although he is also an enemy, he is just doing what a normal strong person would do, but Black Sheep is different. What he is doing is like licking a dog. Even a strong man would despise such a person. Your Excellency, it hurts my heart to say that I provoked you. It was obviously you who made the first move. Jia Yan smiled. Even though the person in front of the clone might be a powerful domain lord who was close to seniority, he was not afraid. Not to mention that Jia Yan knew the general strength of the strong man standing behind the Black Sheep. Even if he didn't know his strength, he would not be afraid of a strong man who took the initiative and almost failed to stop his own clone. Fear. With that move alone, he knew that this strong man was much weaker than his real body. Is there any need to be afraid of beings who are weaker than myself? No. So Jia Yan didn't have the slightest fear, he just retorted with the other party in such a calm manner. Logically speaking, even if it is a clone of a strong person, in this universe, the strong person should be respected. As long as your current clone is not as strong as the other person, and your real body cannot help the clone, then this clone must also respect you. Other strong people, otherwise they are provoking others. Of course, Jia Yan was right about the previous situation. In fact, it was the other party who rescued the Black Sheep, so the real provocateur should be the other party. It's a pity that this universe has never been a universe for the weak. The other party would talk to Jia Yan only because there was a real body behind Jia Yan's clone. But there is also a certain reason for this, because the clone can hurt the domain lord after using its strange combat ability. Oh, this friend, since you have dealings with the Zerg Queen and the others, I can give you face, but we need to sit down and have a good chat. Why don't you let the people from the Zerg Queen's forces take out the treasures they have hidden and give them to them? How about we watch it for a while and then talk slowly? The opponent was a dolphin-like creature with a surprisingly big head. Generally, the talent of such a creature would be in its head. He used his brainwave power talent before, and also used his brainwave power talent to influence Black Sheep, making him become bellicose, which is also evidence. But Jia Yan is not worried, the other party can also use the power of brainwaves to affect his clone's mind. Because this is impossible. Although his clone is weak, it is mentally the same as his real body. Trying to make his clone become insane is equivalent to making his real body insane at the same time. At least Jia Yan doesn't think so. An ordinary domain lord can do this. At this moment, the other party stated the conditions, which made Jia Yan frown slightly. He knew that this was the other party's way of expressing goodwill and selling face under certain circumstances. But on the other hand, isn't it just being aggressive? Hand over the treasure hidden by the Zerg Queen's forces. Hey! Jia Yan didn't think it was as simple as the other party just wanting to appreciate it. Moreover, even if he agreed, judging from his temper towards the Zerg Queen and the others, he would not be willing to give in like that. So he simply shook his head. Sir, you also know that I can't make the decision on this matter. If you are willing to wait, I will go and discuss it with the Zerg Queen. The answer may take half an hour to come out, or it may take several days to finalize it. I wonder if you are willing to wait. You. The face of the dolphin-like strong man suddenly changed. Jia Yan seemed to be speaking more tactfully, but anyone could tell that this guy was trying to dodge, and his words were not that extreme, but the idea of ridicule and delaying time was clearly revealed. The dolphin powerhouse looked a little ugly again. As someone who has observed the battlefield for a long time, he naturally understands that Jia Yan's clone poses no threat to him at all. Even if you use the strange ability that you used to deal with the black sheep before, there will be no difference at all. As a domain lord, he is stronger than the Zerg Queen. His strength cannot be described by simply saying that he is a powerful domain lord. That is to say, the opportunity has not yet come. If the opportunity comes, there will be nothing surprising about its combat power reaching the level of a senior domain lord. Therefore, he was not afraid of Jia Yan's killing move, which could severely injure or even kill the black sheep just now. But he is afraid of another thing. That is Jia Yan's true identity. Bystanders knew that when Jia Yan's clone first appeared, he had been trying his best to delay time. But halfway through the conversation, he actually turned into an active attack. This shows that the clone of this powerful man must have some confidence. So what is his confidence? As a strong man with a quick mind, he didn't even need to think about it, he understood it directly, the clone's true form should be coming soon. So he is a little scared. Even if he appears now, the other person's clone is so confident, so majestic, and even doesn't show any pretense to him, a domain master who is almost reaching senior level, so he can judge that the other person's true body is, maybe they are all the kind of strong men who are about to break through to the territory lord at the last moment. As for whether he is a real senior domain master, this is impossible. If it were a truly senior domain lord, he would not have shown up when he was acting in their star domain. Instead, he would have left everything to his mid-level galaxy subordinate. Of course, it was the biggest and the most reason why he didn't dare to touch this clone. This guy's true form is a subdimensional talent. As we all know, the subspace is the most slippery and difficult to deal with the powerful person with talent. If he fights with the opponent, even if his strength is slightly stronger than the opponent's real body, as long as he cannot kill the opponent, then in the future just wait for the endless assassinations. Just like just now, Black Sheep was accidentally plotted by the opponent. Such a situation is likely to happen at any time after getting entangled with a strong person with subspace talent. This is what he fears most. Your Excellency, you said you want to discuss it. I can accept this, but you don't need so much time, right? Besides, I haven't seen you, Your Excellency, the Queen of the Zerg, for a long time. Why don't you let her come out too? How about us? Please sit down and have a good talk, maybe there is just a misunderstanding between us. The dolphin creature didn't respond positively to what Jia Yan said about talking and discussing, and even made new demands. He wanted to see the Zerg Queen, not really, but to let the Zerg Queen fly out from the planet below. Anyway, with her injured and dying body, she must not have any fighting ability, and if she really appeared, well, when he fights Jia Yan's clone later, he can still use the disabled Zerg Queen and other powerful people from the Zerg Queen's force as shields. In short, the two of them are now engaged in verbal and psychological warfare. Both sides had scruples and did not start a war. Of course, Jia Yan's concern is that he can't start a war. Once the war starts, his clone will be for nothing, and he will be killed if he goes up. The other party is unwilling to start a war because he is still afraid of Jia Yan's true form. Now that they seem to be at odds with each other, there is still a slight leeway. He just wants to see Jia Yan's true form and then evaluate whether it is war or peace. So both sides had scruples, and there was a complete stalemate. Originally, even if there was a stalemate, it would be beneficial to Jia Yan. The other party said that the Zerg Queen and other creatures would appear. This topic would make Jia Yan talk for a while, and the real body would arrive soon. But at this moment, an unexpected person interrupted his communication with the dolphin creature. "It's you. It's you indeed. Jia Yan. It's you. This kind of attack means no one else but you." Suddenly, his extremely shocking and slightly exciting voice came from the black sheep who had just been knocked out by Jia Yan and suffered serious injuries. Black Sheep turned around and shouted in ecstasy at the dolphin creature. "Lord Dolphin! Don't worry, this guy's true form is not a strong one. To be able to achieve the combat effect just now, he must have used his unique ability. His true form is called Jia Yan, and he was one that our Zerg Queen once raised. Waste. The key is that this waste was just a mid-level star 4 or 5 years ago. Even the peak was only achieved later. My lord, he broke away from the Zerg Queen's power 4 or 5 years ago. In just a few years, there is no way he can cultivate to a level comparable to yours." "Huh? 4 or 5 years ago, you were just an intermediate galaxy." Upon hearing this, the dolphin-like strong man's eyes changed instantly. When he looked at Jia Yan's clone again, his expression had turned ferocious. Text download address. Phone reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2420. If the Jia Yan recognized by Black Sheep is a being with terrifying strength, then this master dolphin will naturally not have too many adventurous ideas. But Black Sheep recognized Jia Yan's actual identity. Judging from Jia Yan's subspace fighting skills just now, Black Sheep, who has fought with Jia Yan and has a deep study of Jia Yan, can certainly tell that this clone belongs to Jia Yan. Ever since, he revealed Jia Yan's true identity. A strong man who was still at the middle level of the galaxy 4 or 5 years ago, and could not even reach the top of the middle level of the galaxy. Such a strong person, let alone being incomparable with a powerful territory lord, even compared with Black Sheep, he can practice to be more powerful than Black Sheep in 4 or 5 years, that is, to break through to territory lord. It is already a great achievement of good fortune. No one would believe that a strong man who was a mid-level creature in the galaxy 4 or 5 years ago would transform himself into a person in the past 4 or 5 years, reaching a level that even dolphin creatures could not defeat. So when Black Sheep revealed Jia Yan's true identity and strength, the entire face of this dolphin creature who was polite and seemed extremely reasonable just now became ferocious. A strong man who was only a mid-level star in the galaxy 4 or 5 years ago. In the past few years, he has been greatly improved. His promotion to the territory lord is the limit. But for a newly promoted territory lord, it is not bad to be as powerful as the Black Sheep. Why? Possibly comparable to him. For the creatures outside the black hole area such as the North Star, there seems to be no such thing as combat type. They may even have powerful men with extremely terrifying combat capabilities in the world. So this dolphin creature made a completely wrong judgment at the moment. That's the clone of the creature in front of me, and it's extremely powerful. Being able to defeat a territory lord with a clone must have been a trick. For example, his space item was controlled by his true body from behind. In this way, he was obviously using his true body to fight with all his strength, but the result became as if his clone easily defeated a domain lord. gives people a strong sense of shock. As for the reason, he must be trying to use this illusion to intimidate other powerful people, including himself. This dolphin creature's entire mood at this time was a mixture of excitement and anger. He was excited because he saw through the other party's disguise, but also felt a little angry because he had been deceived by this guy just now. Very good. Very good. Jia Yan, right? You actually dared to lie to me. Now that your lie has been exposed, go to hell. The dolphin-like creature released all its combat power. He no longer wanted to be hit by the opponent's subspace moves. Judging from his judgment, this clone is just a cover, and its true body should be hiding in the starry subspace nearby, so he is currently preparing to kill its clone with great force, and then deal with it. Real body. He said that he didn't think the other party was very powerful, but he was still a little afraid of a domain lord level subspace powerhouse. After all, such a being could not resist one of his own moves, but he really escaped. He is definitely not a scourge in the future, and he was only at the mid-level galaxy 4 or 5 years ago, which means that this guy has good talent. If he hides somewhere and practices well, he will come back after the domain lord level strength has stabilized and even improved. Revenge would be too much for even him to bear. So if we want to fight now, we must kill them directly, otherwise there will be endless troubles. However, the space domain master seemed to have a strong confidence in himself that time. He had been showing off his power near their star area before, and the power he released seemed to be quite strong. In this case, pretend to fight the clone more difficultly, and then attract its true form. This dolphin-like creature thought of a plan in an instant. Groan. Jia Yan only felt that his clone was completely swallowed up by the power of brain waves. He couldn't help but use the brainwave power he borrowed from his true body, and he was able to resist the attack of this powerful man's brainwave power. But what makes him a little weird is that the level of brainwave power available to his clone is not high, at least it cannot deal with the invasion of a powerful person with brainwave power talent. But he felt that his clone's brainwave power really narrowly resisted the opponent's brainwave power. Could it be because of the distance? It seems that this strong dolphin is weaker than he thought, otherwise he would not be able to suppress his own clone with the power of brain waves. Of course, there was still some distance between the two sides, and even though he was not suppressed, in fact, his clone was unable to move, but it was not seriously injured. Therefore, Jia Yan believed that the opponent was a little weaker than he thought. Although it was definitely stronger than Black Sheep, it was far from reaching the critical point of being promoted to senior level as he had imagined. That's right. This dolphin creature's plan really fooled even Jia Yan. At least his true body hasn't fully arrived yet. The intensity of energy perception from the clone and the loss of a body that can be controlled remotely make it difficult for him to make accurate judgments. So to a certain extent, the other side's strategy was successful. But the prerequisite for this success is that he also misjudged Jia Yan. He had no idea that this subspace talent was actually a guy whose strength far exceeded his imagination. The two sides gradually came to close contact without knowing each other's details. Let me come, Master Do, this guy and I have a sworn hatred, at least I want to kill his clone. Black Sheep seemed to be still under the influence of the brainwave power of the dolphin creature. After discovering that Jia Yan's clone was controlled by the brainwave power of the dolphin creature, he immediately had the idea of killing his enemy himself. Although this was just a clone, it was already a very happy thing for him to be able to kill Jia Yan's clone. After all, what happened before made Black Sheep understand that the Jia Yan of today is no longer the same as the Jia Yan of the past. He is a domain lord with the same level of strength as himself, and may even be far stronger than himself, so I think the idea of killing Jia Yan's true body only appeared in Black Sheep's mind for a moment, and was extinguished by himself. It's not that he is uneasy about the strength of the adults behind him who support him, but he is uneasy about his own strength. If he wants to deal with Jia Yan's true form, he might get close to him and be killed? In order to live a better life in the central star field of the Milky Way, he Black Sheep has given up even his own self-esteem and the strong mentality of the past. If he takes risks for revenge or something, wouldn't he become a villain? All your efforts were in vain? Therefore, Black Sheep will never let himself face off against the stronger Jia Yan. Killing his clone would be an excellent idea. The injured Black Sheep flew close to the clone with broken arms. However, as he got closer, he saw that although Jia Yan's clone couldn't move, his brainwave power spread out in all directions, and then a large amount of starry dust was absorbed into his clone's body. It turned out that he had just exploded himself. Those stone body parts. Gradually, these broken stones recondensed into Jia Yan's cloned body, and then formed his arms. What's the use of recovering? Do you still think that you can do something to me under the control of adults? Besides, even if you can do it, your clone does not rely on subdimensional talent, but only relies on 2 fists. Do you really think you can do it? What am I? Die. Jia Yan only felt that his clone body was being squeezed. It was obvious that the master dolphin with brainwave power was really using his strength to crush his clone in one breath. But his clone was still able to take care of himself. Originally, the clone didn't feel any pain, and he also had someone to rely on. It had been so long, and if the real body hadn't arrived yet, wouldn't it have been too reckless for him to make the first judgment just now? That's right, his true form has arrived in the starry sky. In the subspace, there is a huge star that suddenly arrives. At the same time as the Black Sheep crashed into Jia Yan's clone, any creature with some strength felt the approach of this behemoth from the subspace. What a huge star, actually flying in subspace. This planet is. Regardless of the enemy or our side, at this moment, everyone was in a state of shock. However, the shock of the newcomers on the enemy side, who did not know Jia Yan, was only fleeting. There are actually quite a few objects that can navigate in subspace, and there are even some technological figures who say that future navigation technology needs to develop towards subspace or gravitational wave space, and many similar technological creations have actually been created. At present, this planet seems big, but it's just a little big. If you are willing to invest money, you can still make it. So they were only shocked for a moment and didn't think much about it. But unlike this group of creatures, the remnants of the Zerg Queen's force, as well as those strong men who had left the Zerg Queen's force and took refuge under Black Sheep, were suddenly shocked. Because they are too familiar with this planet that sails in subspace. It's so familiar that this planet was created within the Zerg Queen's power. Many creatures in this battlefield have even seen this planet with their own eyes, and some even participated in the creation of this planet. In addition to being familiar with the planet, they are also familiar with the owner of this planet. They are also very familiar with it. Even a big shot, but he has already left the Zerg Queen force. That's Jia Yan. This planet is not. Yes, it looks familiar to me too. This should be Jia Yan's planet. But how could this planet? Could it be that Jia Yan is back? It's possible, but the timing of his return is really wrong. Under this situation, it's useless for him to come back, it will just kill one more person. No. Didn't you hear just now that Black Sheep seemed to shout the name Jia Yan when fighting the clone of the mysterious strong man? Is it possible, Jia Yan, is this strong man? By. How is that possible? Are you stupid? We are so far apart, and the two powerful men use brainwave power when fighting. You must have heard wrong, okay. Yes, how could that mysterious strong man be Jia Yan, but Jia Yan's return is a certainty. We can't harm him, let him leave. Although many people within the Zerg Queen's force still have their own little ones, their ability to remain in such a shaky force as the Zerg Queen's force also shows that they still have some good views in their hearts, So the vast majority of them, part of me was shocked when I saw Jia Yan returning at such a juncture, and then involuntarily, one or two people spoke out into the subspace. Lord Jia Yan. Although we are happy that you are back, please run away. Jia Yan, now is not the time for you to come back. Don't slow down and escape directly, otherwise you won't be able to escape. Jia Yan, you may have heard about our situation from the outside world, but you really can't help in this situation. Thank you very much for coming. Let's go. At this moment, a friend in need is a friend indeed, and many powerful people thought that Jia Yan in Edisha must have returned to the Zerg Queen's power because he did not understand the current situation. Therefore, many people feel that Jia Yan cannot be dragged down and asked to leave quickly. Ha 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 ha, it's you indeed. Jia Yan. Your real body is here. It's okay if this clone doesn't attack. Black Sheep had already flown in front of Jia Yan's clone, and seemed to be engaging in a fist-to-foot fight with the well-prepared Jia Yan clone. However, after sensing the coming subspace planet, it instantly changed its fighting actions. Although he knew that it was absolutely impossible for Jia Yan to reach Lord Dolphin's level of strength, if he really broke through to the Domain Lord level, he might actually be stronger than himself. Therefore, he couldn't leave Jia Yan's real body alone and attack his clone. That wouldn't be to sacrifice the basics for the sake of the end. Yin yin yin. At this moment, not only these people, but also the Master Dolphin who uses the power of brain waves to control Jia Yan's clone, has completely focused his attention on the subspace. The huge subspace planet was not too strange in terms of technological content, but it was so large that it was rare to see. It brought huge pressure to everyone, even the powerful Domain Lord. Jia Yan, are you about to reveal your true form? Haha, so what if you are really strong? Even if you are really stronger than me, but there is still a backup plan behind me, presumably that adult will be arriving soon, right? The dolphin creature looked at the planet in the subspace indifferently, watching it approaching rapidly. It also raised its strength and was fully prepared for battle. But after this preparation, the other party's brainwave power relaxed a bit. The brainwave power here was slack. It was Jia Yan's clone, the stone giant, who suddenly felt relaxed. In other words, his clone was released. And here, the clone that has released all its movements is facing one of the enemies and an old friend of Jia Yan's love and hate, Black Sheep. Huh, underestimating my clone? You are all wrong. Jia Yan's clone shook his head. Then. Puff. Text download address. Phone reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2421. When everyone focused their attention on Jia Yan's true body and completely ignored his star-level clone. Jia Yan's clone, with lightning speed, broke free from the control of the brainwave power of the dolphin creature. Then, his fist, which had just returned to his arms, struck the belly of the black sheep that was very close at hand with a fierce punch. You. At this moment, Black Sheep, who ignored the clone, felt that his whole body had been hit hard, and his eyes widened. Any creature present that originally focused almost entirely on the depths of the subspace seemed to have just come to its senses at this moment, and suddenly glanced at them all. Next, everyone was shocked because of the variables here. The clone that was originally considered to be harmless actually once again became the protagonist on the battlefield at the critical moment when no one paid attention to him. The clone punched out, bursting out with positive and negative power, forcibly raising his strength to the galaxy level. Therefore, the power of this punch is simply terrifying. What a coincidence, Black Sheep didn't pay attention to this clone at all. After all, Jia Yan himself is here. Why does he still care about the clone? Besides, wasn't this clone restrained to death by the adult behind him? He never expected that his master would not help him to completely control the person, and that Jia Yan's clone's ability to break free exceeded the imagination of the powerful brainwave powerhouse. Therefore, this punch can be said to be completely unexpected by everyone. Well. Black Sheep looked at his belly in a daze. On his abdomen, the 3-kilometer-long stone man's arm penetrated his entire abdomen. Although such a wound seemed like a minor injury to a creature that was dozens of kilometers long, it was actually very painful. It's the brainwave power that invades the body. This brainwave power was wreaking havoc, feeling like it was smashing the Black Sheep's body into pieces. Damn it! On the other side, the dolphin-like creature's expression suddenly shook, and then it burst out with terrifying power in anger. Puff! The energy that was already suppressed on the clone's body violently squeezed Jia Yan's body, and then Jia Yan only felt that his clone's body was suddenly pulled away by an external force, leaving the opponent's side from the injured part of the Black Sheep. There is no way, the clone is too weak. If it were stronger, maybe we would see the gorgeous scene of the clone killing a strong domain lord today. Of course, this is shocking enough. What? Oh my god, this star-level clone almost killed Black Sheep. This. Everyone present turned their attention to Jia Yan's clone. But the scenery of the clone ended here. The continuous battles made his clone's body become scarred. After being suppressed by the strong brainwave power of the dolphin strongman, the entire body made of stone made a clicking sound. And then gradually fell apart. Click, click, click. Although no sound could be heard in the vacuum, everyone could imagine what was going on with the body. Cracks appeared one after another, and then pieces of stone fell from its body. After falling one after another, the clones became fragmented, and the rocks all over the body were like dregs, completely falling apart. Alas, the clone is still too weak. When can we create a galaxy-level clone? A faint sound of regret surfaced on the Edisha star. Jia Yan's real body took elegant steps and slowly flew up from the Edisha star in the 5th dimension. Then he flew through the many twists and turns, and bit by bit, his huge giant mosquito figure appeared before the eyes of all living things. This giant mosquito creature is no stranger to most of the powerful people present. His existence even dominated the former Zerg Queen's power for a long time. And not long after that, he left the Zerg Queen's force after leaving behind the fighting power at the peak of Galaxy Intermediate level, fighting the terrifying strength of Black Sheep when he was just promoted to Territory Lord, and winning the legend. Such a being is still one of the legends even within the Zerg Queen's force, which has changed over time. And there are many strong men who actually worship Jia Yan, just because his talent is too terrifying. Everyone is looking forward to this. After the strong man leaves the power of the Zerg Queen, he will be even more powerful one day in the future. Even before, when they knew that the mysterious domain master who helped the Zerg Queen's force was a dimensional talent, there were already many strong Zerg Queen forces who boldly thought in their hearts, could this be Jia Yan? Woolen cloth. But this guess was too brainless and almost impossible, so they suppressed all these thoughts. But now, when they saw the Edisha planet in the deep subspace, and then saw the graceful step out of the planet, although the size was much larger, the appearance was still roughly the same existence they were familiar with before. Everyone is finally completely sure. This is Jia Yan. It was the peerless genius who was forced to leave by the Black Sheep 4 or 5 years ago and had to leave the power of the Zerg Queen. It turns out that the real person behind the clone who has been helping the Zerg Queen's forces is the Jia Yan they are familiar with. What a person who repays his kindness and misses his old love. And his strength. What kind of encounter, what kind of situation, would cause a creature who was just a peak mid-level star in the galaxy 4 or 5 years ago to be promoted to a domain lord in just a few years? Are all the territory lords much stronger? Such a being, still thinking about his old love, would not hesitate to use a clone to exchange for Black Sheep's serious injury to help their Zerg Queen force. Jia Yan. Jia Yan, you're here. Good guy, haha, haha, he is indeed the person I admired back then. It's really Jia Yan. Haha, when you were guessing, I thought it was impossible, but now, it's a slap in the face, a slap in the face. But, this slap in the face is so painful, it's really Jia Yan. In just a few years, he has grown to this extent. The aura on Jia Yan's body is much more terrifying than the black sheep of the territory lord. What is his strength now? A group of biological experts within the Zerg Queen's forces, as well as those who betrayed the Zerg Queen's forces, plus Leda, who had been waiting for a long time to know Jia Yan's true identity, all showed their true bodies in Jia Yan, and slowly he became extremely excited before the figure flying outside the subspace. This excitement even spread to the simple hall far below the planet. In the main hall, the Zerg Queen, who seemed to be still sleeping, but had actually been awake for a long time, silently watched the sky outside. She didn't know how much time had passed, but she let out a long sigh. As a true territory lord, and a powerful territory lord, she understands that Jia Yan's strength may be more than what is revealed at the moment. And the strength he revealed at the moment has already reached the feeling of the Zerg Queen in a state of complete victory. In other words, Jia Yan's true strength may have surpassed that of the Zerg Queen. How long has it been since? The Queen of the Zerg initially contacted Jia Yan, then tolerated all his actions, even gave Jia Yan a lot of conveniences, and spent a lot of time cultivating him. She really thought that Jia Yan had good talent. But the talent is good, but it won't be to this extent, right? In the past few years, I have surpassed myself. Perhaps this is the real genius? In comparison, what am I? This strong female who has always controlled the power of the Zerg Queen and thinks very highly of herself. People around her also have great expectations for her and consider her to be first-rate. She finally said that she is not as good as Jia Yan. It's just that these words are full of bitterness. It's a dragon or an insect. Come to the central star field of the Milky Way and try it, and you will know whether it is true or false. Of course, the Zerg Queen is not as unbearable as imagined, but it is true that she is far inferior to Jia Yan. At this moment, Jia Yan is the one who attracts all the attention, and she, the Queen of the Zerg, has gradually become less than the center of power, because there is another sun that is even more dazzling and powerful than her, rising slowly. Get up! Jia Yan was like a real sun, attracting all the attention on the battlefield, and slowly and leisurely flew out of the subspace. The body of a huge giant mosquito that is 50 kilometers away, coupled with the mysterious and terrifying aura of a strong man lingering all over his body, everything seems to be telling the amazing strength of this terrifying new strong man. Today, Jia Yan is showing off his edge. Jia Yan, he is really Jia Yan. The seriously injured black sheep was covering the wound with his hoof at this moment. Looking at Jia Yan, who was enjoying the attention of the crowd and seemed to have the strongest sense of momentum in the audience, he felt a deep sense of defeat, and frustration is coming. In fact, Jia Yan has already become the black sheep's nightmare. Yes, Jia Yan plays a huge role in all the changes in his black sheep. You must know that when the black sheep came to the central star field of the Milky Way, although she was not as grand as the Zerg Queen, she could still be called a good leader. Due to her magnanimity, she had many principles and grand methods of doing things. But after arriving in the central star region of the Milky Way, Jia Yan has been stealing all the limelight, and the strength and talent he thinks he has, after arriving here, have been attacked time and time again by outside geniuses or strong men, making him realize he realized that both his talent and strength were far inferior to an ordinary strong man. Especially since he finally reached the domain lord level with great difficulty, but the first time he had just reached it, he was still in a high-spirited state, but he faced the biggest blow in his life. He was just a star in the galaxy at that time. The challenge of Jia Yan, the top powerhouse. You know, Black Sheep at that time was already a territory lord. Although he was just a newly promoted territory lord, he was not 2 or 3 times stronger than the top-level galaxy intermediate peak powerhouse, but that was a territory lord. Generally speaking, it is impossible to fight him at the peak of the middle level of the galaxy. But luckily, Jia Yan did it. And that's not all, he even used the rules to defeat him. The blow of that battle finally changed Black Sheep completely. He has become more timid and a villain, even if it means betraying the Zerg Queen's power and turning against the Zerg Queen, he will not hesitate. Because Black Sheep believed at that time that outsiders like them were not as strong as others in the central star field of the Milky Way, and their connections were even worse. What could they use to build the power of themselves and others? What to operate with? What can you use to improve the strength of yourself and others? Everything requires compromise. Even if you lose a little bit of face and lose a little bit of your principles as a human being, as long as you survive and become stronger, what do those lost things mean? As long as he can survive, as long as he can get benefits and resources, then there will be room for continued growth in the future and the confidence to continue to become stronger. Even the Zerg Queen, even if he seems to be against the Zerg Queen now, as long as he is strong enough and becomes as powerful as the Lord Dolphin, the leader of the power behind him, then the Zerg Queen may just be obedient. Rely on yourself. So everything he does is just getting stronger. But now, seeing the terrifying existence that enjoyed the attention of everyone and then became the center of attention, flying out from the subspace calmly, the momentum alone made him feel a giant mosquito that he could not resist. Black Sheep fell silent. He was really silent. Did he feel that his entire life choice had been wrong again? Jia Yan did not give up anything. He was even willing to come back from unknown distances to rescue the original force when they were in trouble. Such a being was promoted to the position of territory lord so quickly. He has come so far on the road to becoming a territory lord. How do you deal with such a being? Even though he had sacrificed so much, even becoming someone else's lackey and being called a traitor by his colleagues from the original force, not to mention being looked down upon by his subordinates who had defected to the force, he still couldn't deal with Jia Yan. Jia Yan. Black Sheep was almost stunned. Is this what you call the former colleague who 4 or 5 years ago was still at the peak of the intermediate galaxy? He is quite impressive. Suddenly, when Black Sheep felt desperate, there was a faint sound of brainwave power behind him, which reached Black Sheep's mind. Master Dolphin. Sir, yes, he is my original colleague, but at that time, I only thought he had a certain talent, but I didn't expect that after 4 or 5 years, he actually. Black Sheep was a little uneasy. He believes that the current boss behind him is a very realistic person. She does not look like the Zerg Queen, because the Zerg Queen cares about human relationships and is often willing to stand up for her subordinates, but this person does not. He is a typical strong man who only cares about himself. At the moment, Jia Yan's aura is at its peak, even if it is not as good as the adult behind him, but as a troublesome subspace talent, I am afraid that the adult will choose to push himself out because of the trouble, and I choose to retreat. But something happened that Black Sheep didn't expect. Text download address. Phone reading. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2422. Haha, subspace talented domain lord, very good. 300 years ago, I was chased by a subspace domain lord. Now I can't tell. I can take revenge on you, a rude person. Got it? The Dolphin Territory Lord, who was determined by Black Sheep to definitely not help him, actually said something that surprised him and was extremely exciting at the same time. This adult is actually willing to help me. And as soon as he opened his mouth, he said that he wanted revenge. Could it be that he had such great resentment against the existence of subspace talents? The black sheep was amazed. But what's more, it's a surprise. You know, he has already decided that he can't beat Jia Yan. Even a clone caused him serious injuries. If the real body shows up, not to mention how much stronger its fighting power is than the clone. As strong as his clone was, he would definitely die without a burial. And how could Jia Yan's real body be weaker than his clone? So he was too worried that he would be abandoned by the adult behind him. But I never expected that this adult did not abandon himself. Instead, after killing one of Jia Yan's clones, not only did he not apologize, but he also interacted with Jia Yan, who flew out of the subspace and became extremely powerful. To say something that is so tit for tat that it is even impossible to moderate. This shows that this gentleman of his own is ready to fight Jia Yan to the death. That's right, Jia Yan. Regardless of whether you are truly promoted to territory lord or not, there is no way you can take advantage of us. If you are sensible, get out of here. After the black sheep turned away from the above thoughts, he followed the current and said words that made Jia Yan and the adults behind him even more conflicted and irreconcilable. As soon as these words came out, not only Jia Yan turned his attention to this former colleague who no longer cared so much, but also the dolphin territory lord behind him, as well as a large number of surrounding creatures, all turned their attention to Black Sheep. On your body. I have never seen such a shameless person. Can a weakling who can't even defeat other people's clones stop having so many dramas? In a conversation between strong men, what can you, an injured weakling, do? Do you really think that you are also a territory lord and can be compared with these two? What a fool. Of course, the purpose of Black Sheep can be quickly understood by everyone who has been thinking about it. Hey, this guy is really afraid of Jia Yan's true form, otherwise he wouldn't dare to say something that would make it difficult for Jia Yan to reconcile with the Master Do behind him at this moment, when Jia Yan didn't show up. But his attitude was too direct. If the Dolphin Master noticed it, maybe the other party would turn to the enemy because of his attitude of wanting to control his boss. Of course, under normal circumstances, this kind of thing is impossible. Oh, Black Sheep, you are right. Your Excellency, your name is Jia Yan, right? For the sake of your acquaintance with Black Sheep and the Zerg Queen, I will ask you to leave this place. If you don't want to, then he is the great enemy of our dolphin territory lord. The dolphin creature flew calmly and came to the side of the Black Sheep. Opposite him was the giant Mosquito that had just flown out of subspace and arrived in the normal universe. This Mosquito is too big. It has a similar appearance to the mosquitoes on the Earth, but it is so different in size. I am afraid that if all the mosquitoes that have ever been born on the Earth are put together, they may not be as big as this one. The huge black mosquito stood proudly in the starry sky with an aura that would make ordinary creatures invincible. It looked at the two domain lord creatures in front of it, seemingly without any fear. In fact, he doesn't have to be afraid, because Jia Yan has faced far stronger enemy groups before, and they were all beaten to death by him. Oh! Your Excellency, you want me to get out? And for the sake of Black Sheep and the Zerg Queen's forces? You have a good relationship with this Black Sheep bastard, I can see it, but the Zerg Queen's forces have nothing to do with you. What's the point? It's a bit unreasonable to say that it's for their sake. Routine and convention, fights between strong men have to be elaborate. Your Excellency Jia Yan, you said that I have nothing to do with the Zerg Queen's force? You don't understand this. I once invited the Zerg Queen's force to join my force, and the people from the Zerg Queen's force agreed, otherwise how could they have you ever sold your life for me and been a mercenary? It's just that these people from the Zerg Queen's force are not kind enough. After taking advantage of me, they actually prepared to leave without saying a word. Although I, the Lord of the Dolphin Territory, am not a particularly powerful person, but I am not someone who can be manipulated by others, so, you understand, I want to clean up the house now, and as an outsider, please don't interfere. After listening to the words of the Dolphin Territory Lord, Jia Yan didn't feel how shameless he was, but the existences of the Zerg Queen's forces behind him were one or two, trembling with anger. You Dolphin is simply unreasonable, confusing right and wrong. Our Zerg Queen's force originally came here and just wanted to find a place to rest temporarily. You actually said that we wanted to take refuge. Can you stop being so shameless? Zykan was the first to be unable to bear it. He jumped up and cursed in the starry sky. Huh? How brave! How dare you, a mere middle-level peak person in the galaxy, to interrupt the conversation between our territory lords. At this moment, Black Sheep, who had been standing by his side without saying much, changed his expression, and used his natural gravity to summon Na Zykan to release it fiercely. Others didn't dare to move, so the speed of this gravity talent was a bit slow. After all, the Black Sheep was seriously injured. But this not too fast speed is not something that Zykan, the mid-level peak of the galaxy who was also injured, can withstand. Puff. A foot appeared in front of the Black Sheep's gravity talent, and the positive and negative forces on the foot were suddenly released, instantly like a goddess scattering flowers, crushing the incoming force with one blow. This is the strength of a strong man. Even if the opponent is also a domain lord and uses a strange magical talent like weight talent, as long as he has enough power, everything can be shattered. Power is an eternal truth in the universe. Jia Yan has more power than Black Sheep, so no matter how weird the gravity talent or lightning talent he uses, as long as he releases it, Jia Yan can do something crack it. This is the relationship between superiors and subordinates in terms of strength. It does not mean that you can easily cross levels and kill enemies just because you have good alternative talents. Thank you Mr. Jia Yan. Zykan's expression changed slightly, and then he looked in front of him. The giant mosquito that he had originally regarded as a talented junior was now advancing so rapidly that he couldn't even see his back. The one who took action was naturally Jia Yan. As a rescued person, he must be grateful. It just made him too uncomfortable. In the past, Jia Yan, in his eyes, was at best a small role that could be used to fight against the Black Sheep. Unexpectedly, time has changed, and only a few years have passed. The giant mosquito that made him feel that he was just a character worth cultivating has become a strong man that he needs some strength to even look up to. Of course. This universe is a universe for the strong, and he would not choose not to say thank you just because of such a little discomfort in his heart. After all, he didn't want to offend a being who was definitely much stronger than him. Just the future. The mentality needs to change. Certain words may feel a little confusing and uncomfortable the first time they are said, but they will feel much better the second time they are said, and by the third or fourth time, they will probably get used to them. Lord Zykan, there is no need to tell me this. We are not just an ordinary relationship, we are colleagues. Jia Yan turned his head and looked at the western group of creatures being defended by one of his feet. When he felt the insignificance of the opponent's body and the weakness of the energy in his body, Jia Yan couldn't help but sigh. Some things make people feel that time has changed, just like the age of people on the earth. Unknowingly, it becomes middle age, and after a while, it becomes old age, which always feels unreal. The same is true in the world of the strong. Although the issue of age cannot be ignored, the bigger aspect lies in strength. In fact, everyone's strength is not as fixed as imagined. In many cases, it fluctuates greatly. Of course, even if there are ups and downs, it is difficult to be like Jia Yan, who can enjoy such changes in a short period of time. He was originally a comrade in arms, and had cooperated in several war zones, and the two sides even had a short period of joint operations. Now, Jia Yan has become a superior, and the boss or colleague who originally needed his solemn attention has now having become a weakling. He can easily kill someone with one strike. For a strong person, this is also an aspect that needs to pay attention to his own state of mind. If you cannot adjust your mentality well, your life may become messy due to various messy interpersonal relationships. Call me sir, haha, Lord Jiayan is just joking. In front of the territory lord, what is the talk of sir? Lord Jiayan, please call me Zykan in the future. 11 Kun was startled, then shook his head bitterly and backed away. He knew that the next protagonist of the battlefield would be placed on this big mosquito. He was only an intermediate peak of the galaxy, and he was also an injured peak of the galaxy, so he was of no use at all. Jia Yan just nodded and did not reply. He turned to look at the black sheep and the dolphin domain master in front of him. At this moment, Black Sheep's gaze was quite uncomfortable. He really didn't want to believe that this terrifying visitor was the Jia Yan he knew. He would rather come with a strange and terrifying subspace domain lord than know that Jia Yan, whom he had fought and offended before, had become such a powerful domain lord, not to mention the domain lord. Black Sheep, long time no see. Are you still as despicable and shameless as ever? Jia Yan smiled and flew towards the two domain lords calmly. He was so confident that he did not even enter the subspace, which made the two domain masters look ugly. Black Sheep immediately stepped back in fear. As much as Jia Yan advanced, he retreated. Because his injured body can no longer withstand the attack of a territory lord. Even a very weak territory lord, or even an ordinary mid-level galaxy powerhouse, could tear him into pieces. So he didn't dare to stand face to face with Jia Yan, who was coming. God knows if Jia Yan would attack him brazenly. On the other side, the Dolphin Territory Lord had a solemn expression. He looked at Jia Yan's approach and did not retreat. So he gradually turned into a black sheep and moved away from the battlefield. He slowly waited at the same place. The arrival of the giant mosquito. Your Excellency, you said that the black sheep are shameless, but I don't think so. In this world where the strong are supreme, good birds choose trees to live in. The strong need the protection of the stronger. Even the queen of the Zerg came to the star area. All came to me for protection. Do you think she did something wrong? The dolphin's words made Jia Yan, who was already in front of him, calmly stop his flying speed. The giant mosquito raised his eyes and looked at the strong man who protected the black sheep. Very strong, but not as strong as a senior domain lord. To put it bluntly, Jia Yan thinks that if he doesn't enter the subspace right now, he can easily defeat this guy in a few moves just by standing there and having sex with him. Of course, this person probably doesn't know his own strength, so he is quite confident. A good bird chooses a tree to roost in, is a good saying. Jia Yan nodded. These words are not earthly slang, but cosmic slang translated from his heart. In fact, this kind of speech also exists in the universe, and many powerful people use it. But Your Excellency, your words are nice, but there is only one thing you have overlooked. Jia Yan continued calmly. What's up? The other party paused and asked curiously. The only thing you ignore is the facts. Do you think the things you have done are facts? Haha, if you have the ability to ask, the facts repeated by any powerful Zerg queen behind me, or it's not what you said, surrender. Haha, if you say someone else, I'm still willing to believe it, but if you say it's the queen of the Zerg, as someone who has worked with her for a long time, do you think I will believe it? Her character cannot be that she would seek refuge as someone else's subordinate. In this matter, the best she can do is to cooperate with you temporarily, right? You actually understand it as seeking refuge. I really don't know why you are so thick-skinned. You. The dolphin creature's expression changed instantly, and then the entire dolphin face became ugly. He looked at Jia Yan coldly, and finally the slightest feeling that he wanted to talk to Jia Yan to solve the problem amicably disappeared. Your Excellency, since you said that, you must have a hand in this matter. That's right, I didn't say I would withdraw from the Zerg Queen's force, so I must take care of this matter. Otherwise, my own force will be bullied. Will I still have the nerve to go out in the future? I would like to ask, do you really want to bully others? Be careful. Don't risk your life. Jia Yan responded tit for tat, and his tone became cold. At this moment, the atmosphere of the battle is high, and it is very likely that in the next second, the battle between the two powerful domain lords will break out. He. But for some reason, the dolphin creature smiled. Text download address. Phone reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Buletin Yu. Chapter 2423. Jia Yan, as well as a large number of other creatures present, including many unsuspecting enemies, all felt that they did not understand the laughter of the dolphin creature. Why is that? Facing a domain master with subspace talent, for a strong person, he should be the most feared troublesome existence, but this dolphin is so good, he doesn't feel uncomfortable but laughs instead. Also, just now he said that he wanted to kill a domain master with subspace talents to let go of the anger he had had for many years. But didn't this guy know that it was difficult to kill a domain master with subspace talents? That's why he couldn't deal with that subspace master last time. A talented domain lord? Since you know that the domain lord with subspace talents is difficult to kill, why are you so confident this time and think you can handle it? This is so weird. Among the people present, apart from the Dolphin Territory Lord himself, there was probably only Black Sheep. At this moment, an idea struck him, and he suddenly understood why his lord who had taken refuge was so confident. Could it be that person has arrived? Thinking of this, Black Sheep felt like he was getting excited. You know, that is a senior domain master. He, the Black Sheep, has lived for so long and has been traveling in the central star field of the Milky Way for many years, but he has never seen a senior domain lord. It is not that he is not qualified, but that he does not dare to go to any senior domain lord. Wandering before the Lord. What if such a being suddenly decided to kill himself? In front of a being who can easily kill him with every move he makes, even if he is a territory lord, he feels restless, so he will not take the initiative to send it to a senior territory lord. But just because you haven't seen it, doesn't mean you don't know how powerful seniors are. A senior territory lord is just like an ordinary territory lord dealing with mid-level beings in the galaxy. It is basically crushing, even the strongest ordinary territory lord, in front of a senior territory lord. Those are all beings that cannot have the slightest resistance. If a senior territory lord comes, no matter how powerful Jia Yan is, with the combined efforts of our three territory lords, the subspace will not let him escape. Even if he has the strength of Lord Dolphin, it will be impossible. When Black Sheep thought about this, he felt that this time his archenemy Jia Yan, the gifted being that made him fearful in his heart at this moment, was finally going to die. And he died at the hands of himself and others. If a senior domain lord came forward, he didn't think Jia Yan would have any chance of escape. For him, at this time, he cannot be Jia Yan's opponent at all, but for him, his strength is enough to hold Jia Yan in check, so for the sake of the future, Jia Yan he will come alone to cause trouble for himself. It is best to use the strength of Lord Dolphin and the senior domain master behind Lord Dolphin now to kill Jia Yan once and for all. After all, after 4 or 5 years of not seeing each other, Jia Yan has become a territory lord, and a territory lord even stronger than him. If he appears in front of him, if this time is extended to 10 or 20 years, what about 100 years from now? God knows how strong Jia Yan will be then. If he encounters him again in the future, he may not be of the same level, but Jia Yan will easily kill him with a look. If before today's meeting, Black Sheep only regarded Jia Yan as a small threat and a talented opponent, but after today, he has understood that Jia Yan's existence is the biggest obstacle to his life. If if he doesn't die, he will die, so he will definitely let Jiayan die without a burial place, otherwise he will die in the future. He, Jiayan, this is what you said. I have already given you a chance. Since you want to interfere with my affairs with the Zerg Queen's forces, then you are the enemy of my dolphin. Since you are my enemy, then at the same time he is also the enemy of the big man behind me. And the dolphin creature said calmly and confidently. And you said that by coincidence, this gentleman happened to come to visit me recently, so I asked this big man to personally take action to eradicate your enemy. Do you think it is reasonable? Jiayan was startled for a moment, then his expression became serious. Big shot. And he is the big figure behind the extremely powerful dolphin creature among the junior domain lords. In other words, is he his backer? What is the strength of this person? I'm afraid they are all senior domain masters at least. As for a senior domain lord, Jiayan also needs to be cautious. After all, theoretically, the combat power is equal to him. If he is not careful, he may be killed by him. What is even more worrying is that the strong backer behind this is not an ordinary senior domain lord, but a senior domain lord with astonishing strength, or even, maybe an intermediate domain lord. If it's an intermediate domain lord, there's nothing to say. The first moment Jiayan senses the opponent's strength, he will take an escape route, because he can't deal with such an existence at all. Escape is the only option, and even if he escapes, he may not be able to escape. And if he is a powerful senior domain lord, Jiayan can only enter the subspace and fight an undefeated pursuit and escape battle with the opponent. Otherwise, Jiayan's strength may not be enough to deal with an ordinary senior domain lord. Opportunity, but against the last powerful senior domain lord, except for using his trump card explosives, it seemed difficult to pose much threat to the opponent. So Jiayan had to be serious. A powerful ordinary domain lord has a backer, which is enough for him to treat him seriously. I just don't know who this big shot is, and whether he has come to this starry sky. Is it even possible that he has laid an ambush and is preparing to deal a cruel blow to him? Jiayan felt extremely uncomfortable in his heart. He was afraid that the big man behind him would show up and pretend to be cool, but the Zerg Queen would not be able to be saved by anyone in the force. For Jiayan, it was also a powerful person. Kind of destroyed. However, he actually has a certain degree of confidence in all the above speculations. First of all, there are actually very few intermediate-level territory lords in the central star field of the Milky Way. To say that such a dolphin territory lord would know a mid-level territory lord, I don't really believe it, because Jiayan has never seen any mid-level territory lord until now. Such a person, compared with ordinary territory lords, or senior territory lords, is like 100 or several. On the order of hundreds to thousands to one, not just any territory lord can climb it, at least Jiayan couldn't see that the dolphin territory lord in front of him could climb it. Therefore, the most likely backer behind the opponent is a senior domain lord. The difference lies in the strength of this senior domain lord, whether he is a powerful senior domain lord or an ordinary senior domain lord. Regardless of whether he is a powerful senior domain lord or an ordinary senior domain lord, Jiayan doesn't seem to be that afraid. If he can't beat him, why can't he escape? The reason for self-confidence lies in this. Huh? This Jiayan doesn't seem to be afraid at all. After the dolphin creature finished speaking, he kept observing Jiayan's expression. After discovering that Jiayan didn't have any fear, he couldn't help but feel a touch of unhappiness in his heart. This time, he finally managed to get the Lord Gaia behind him to appear in his starry sky. He wanted to show off his power. In addition to being able to use Lord Gaia to kill this foreign subspace talented domain master, the greater benefit is that it can make the other masters of forces in this starry sky know that there is such a thing behind them. A terrifying strong man. Although other forces may have such a powerful territory lord as their backer, this kind of thing depends on whether they are close or not. Since he can call the senior territory lord, it means that he and Gaia after the incident spreads, if anyone wants to attack him in the future, or if anyone wants to call the big shot behind him to kill him, he will consider the existence of the creature behind the dolphin creature. But this effect seems a little bad. This person named Jia Yan shouldn't have immediately become frightened and uneasy after hearing the name of the senior domain master, and even fled into the subspace immediately. After all, he has only been promoted for less than a few years, and he may not have even heard of what a senior domain master is. Thinking of this, the powerful domain lord with a dolphin-like appearance immediately showed a look of pain. The poor little guy has never even heard of the senior domain lord. He is afraid that he will die at the hands of the senior domain lord soon. It is pitiful. Okay, Jia Yan, since you don't disrespect the strong so much, I don't expect you to have any respect for a strong man. The big man behind me has arrived in the nearby starry sky. I will call him over right now. Jia Yan, just be bold and disrespectful to him, let's see if this gentleman of mine will be torn into pieces by you. Dolphin said calmly, and then he sent out a strange brainwave power. This brainwave power was indeed emitted by a person with a powerful talent for brainwave power. It spread out over a range of thousands of kilometers in an instant, and then was released to places tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Yin yin yin. Within the entire starry sky, there was some kind of strange communication vibration. This vibration spread further, at least millions of kilometers in an instant. It can be seen that the powerful people in the universe use various methods. Yes, extremely surprising. Buzz. Within 10 seconds, another echo of brainwave power suddenly sounded in the depths of the universe, and it seemed that the brainwave power of this creature was not weak, and might even be better than the brainwave power of this dolphin creature. Much more powerful, responded to the starry sky in an instant. Puff. Not long after, the brainwave power of both parties stopped releasing in an instant. The dolphin creature calmly recovered, took back its brainwave power, and looked at Jia Yan as if he were looking at a dead person. Okay, the big man behind me is coming soon. Jia Yan, do you want to try to escape directly? I tell you, it's useless. My master has some experience in dealing with people with strong subspace talents. What I'm saying is he told me this personally, so you can't escape. Oh. Jia Yan was startled for a moment, then nodded, feeling even heavier in his heart. He originally thought that this dolphin creature might be lying to him, but the brainwave power he just sensed had actually reached the level of a senior domain lord, which made him solemn. A senior domain lord is also a very difficult enemy for him. It's just this brainwave power. How to say? It seemed like I had seen him somewhere before, and there was a hint of familiarity. But after recalling it carefully, I felt that it didn't have much impact. Maybe when I met this guy, or the relationship between the two parties was not that good, so Lian Jia, a man with such a strong memory like Yan, had forgotten where he had seen him. Forget it, let's see later. If it is really a difficult being to deal with, I will ask the Zerg Queen behind them to give up some of the supplies in their hands. No matter what the other party wants, I will give it up. So that the other party will always sell me face. After all, I am also a senior domain master, and I am a combat type domain master at the senior domain master level. If he does not sell face, I am not that afraid of him. In a fight, no matter whether I win or lose, I won't die. After all, he is just a senior. Jia Yan cheered himself up from the bottom of his heart. But the familiarity of this brainwave power really made him feel so familiar. It was as if they were so familiar that they had met her recently, but no matter how hard I thought about it, I couldn't remember it. So weird. Jia Yan felt weird in his heart and looked as if he was dazed. Such a view made the dolphin creature opposite and the seriously injured black sheep couldn't help but be overjoyed. They believed that this was because Jia Yan felt the terrifying brainwave power of the coming strong man and became silent. This shows that Jia Yan, who seems to be an extremely powerful subspace domain lord, actually has no confidence at all at this moment, which shows that he is very afraid of those who come. By the way, the dolphin creature just said that the coming big shot has the means to track subspace talents, so he doesn't dare to escape. Ha 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 ha, look, Jia Yan, you are really like a clown. When you came out just now, weren't you very majestic? When you seriously injured me with a little clone, didn't you feel that you were very powerful? Now you are here, why did you change in front of an adult? Haha, Jia Yan, I want to tell you, and there are so many fools behind you, your way of survival is simply wrong. Black Sheep laughed unbridled. You are the ones who are wrong. My Black Sheep's way of survival is right in this galaxy's central star territory. I, the Black Sheep, will slowly climb up step by step in the future. One day, I will become the territory lord. Intermediate level, dominate the world. Jia Yan, just give me the news waiting for me in the underworld. Black Sheep is too crazy, or in other words, he has been controlled by the brainwave power of the dolphin creature just now, but now the dolphin creature must have restrained his brainwave power, so Black Sheep is free and returns a certain nature. Oh. Text download address. Phone reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2424. Jia Yan looked at this former enemy who was now becoming more and more inferior, and felt extremely speechless in his heart. Is this Black Sheep because he changed into a different person after arriving in the central star field of the Milky Way? Or does he think that as long as he is a licker here, he can get the life he wants? It is simply the most ridiculous thing in the world. Black Sheep, originally I thought you were a figure, but now I see that you are nothing more than a clown. Jia Yan sighed lightly, as if he was too disappointed in Jia Yan. No need to say so much. Jia Yan, you will see who is the clown in life soon. The person behind my master is definitely not something you can easily escape. Really? Then I'll wait and see. Jia Yan shook his head, feeling that he no longer wanted to communicate with Black Sheep. For him, this kind of creature is no longer his equal. If he talks to him more, he feels that he will become even more inferior. Unknowingly, one of the two parties went up, read a lot of information and documents, and mastered a lot of knowledge, completely rising to a higher level, while the other made himself stronger in recent years. Licking a dog and behaving like a dog has become increasingly limitless. Under such comparison, Jia Yan believes that he and Black Sheep no longer belong to the same world at all. Your Excellency, your name is Dolphin, right? Your Excellency Dolphin, you said that a strong man will come, so let him show up and meet me. As for whether I can escape, it is not up to you to decide. Jia Yan said calmly, talking directly to the dolphin-like creature. The dolphin creature looked at Jia Yan solemnly. He had been thinking just now whether Jia Yan would show shock and fear because he said that he was going to be the senior domain master, but now he didn't see it at all. Could it be that this guy is not even afraid of senior domain lords? Or is it because he is too young and has never met a senior domain lord, so he has no understanding of the combat effectiveness and threats of a senior domain lord? If it was the former, he would have to be careful. A subspace domain lord who was not even afraid of senior domain lords must have something to rely on. And if it is the latter, it can only be said that this subspace powerhouse is unlucky. The first time he met the senior domain master was when he died. But now that I think about it so much, it doesn't matter anymore. He had already sensed that the terrifying aura that he had previously conveyed with the power of his brainwaves, causing the other party to come, was slowly approaching. Therefore, it is meaningless to argue with Jia Yan. As long as the adult behind him comes, this Jia Yan will die without a burial place, so why waste more words? As for Jia Yan wanting to escape now, it's not that simple anymore. Like me, that adult is a strong man with brainwave power talent. Under the remote lock of a senior domain master, even if Jia Yan wants to escape into the subspace, he will have to enter it. 10 dimensions ago, he was hit by that adult. As for death or injury, it depends on luck and how much effort the adult exerts. Therefore, at this moment, he could not worry about whether the domain master with the talent of dimension space in front of him would continue to cause trouble for him in the future. Apart from anything else, he felt that he could easily kill Jia Yan as long as he didn't escape, not to mention that his backer himself was here. Jia Yan, if you are wise enough to say something nice now, if my master hears it from afar, he may pardon you to a certain extent. The dolphin creature seemed to be playing with its prey, and said with a smile in a leisurely manner. Hear it from afar? Pardon. Haha, you don't need to think too much about it. I don't think I need to be pardoned by you. Maybe, I can get through the next difficulties. After Jia Yan heard the words of the dolphin creature, he just snorted coldly. At the same time, there was already a slight movement in his heart. If just now, the distance between the two parties was relatively far, he didn't feel anything. So now, that extremely powerful man is getting closer and closer, and the weirdness in Jia Yan's heart begins to surge. Because this strong man's brainwave power seemed to be really familiar to him, so familiar that he gradually remembered who this was. Seems to be one of the senior domain owners at that distribution center Gaia. If it was really him, wouldn't it mean that the flood had washed away the Dragon King temple, and the whole family no longer knew each other? But it's not certain yet, so he won't say anything more certain. At the very least, even if the guy who came was not the Gaia he knew, he was just an ordinary senior domain master. Such a senior territory lord is definitely stronger than Black Sheep and the Dolphin territory lord behind Black Sheep. But compared to Jia Yan? That's okay, at least Jia Yan doesn't think that he will lose anything in a head-on duel. As long as he uses his subspace talent and enters the subspace to fight, the visitor will definitely lose. Therefore, Jia Yan's heart suddenly changed from solemn to a little solemn, and he also thought that he should not worry too much about this visitor. The three domain masters joining forces did not pose much of a threat to him. They only consumed as much positive and negative explosives as Jia Yan could. After all, the better ones among the positive and negative explosives were all brought from the North Superstar. Use a little less, it would be too wasteful to use them here. Buzz buzz. In the sky, as the coming power gets closer and closer, the universe begins to shake. This is the sense of power that a senior domain master can deliberately create. What? This power? Isn't it terrible? There is such a powerful person in the universe? Could it be the arrival of an intermediate level domain lord? This. Impossible. Intermediate territory lord may be stronger than this. I think he should be an existence that has reached the level of senior territory lord. Senior territory lord level? My God, isn't the senior territory lord level just one level stronger than ordinary territory lords? Why does it feel like I'm facing the starry sky itself? It's so strong. The territory lord is far more terrifying than you and I imagined. The differences in levels here are also very exaggerated. In short, we are going to be miserable. Jia Yan is very strong, but they actually invited a senior domain master to come, and we are going to be doomed. Such a terrifying power, no matter how fast Jia Yan practices, it is impossible to be so terrifying. Is the power of our Zerg Queen really over here? What a pity, Jia Yan has been implicated again. In the starry sky at this end, as the strong man approached little by little, the creatures of the Zerg Queen's force, one or two, were completely confused. They had never encountered such a terrifying being. Even though the Zerg Queen force has been in the central star field of the galaxy for so long and has fought all the way, it seems that it has never touched the level of a senior domain lord, let alone felt the influence of a senior domain lord. The strength of the lord. So, at this moment, they were completely confused. For the first time, they knew that the Milky Way central star field was different from what they imagined. The water in it was simply too deep. At the same time, these galaxy-level and ordinary powerhouses from the countryside were all desperate. Faced with such a terrifying existence, what else can they do? Even Jia Yan may not be able to resist at all in front of this strong man. After all, such a terrifying creature is like a god to the average galaxy level. Even if Jia Yan becomes stronger, he has only grown up for a few years. In a few years, they absolutely do not believe that Jia Yan can be promoted from an ordinary mid-level star to such a powerful domain lord. If Jia Yan really had such a fast promotion speed, he would have been in the Zerg Queen's force for several years. What did he do in the past few years? In short, no one believes that Jia Yan can confront this senior domain lord. Alas, Jia Yan, you'd better leave. You've done a good job. We won't blame you. At this time, a sound of helplessness and resignation reached Jia Yan's ears. Jia Yan felt something in his heart. The place where the brainwave power comes from is the patchwork and simple planet. In the hall above, there is a brainwave power that is quietly transmitted to Jia Yan. It is obvious that the owner of this voice is Jia Yan, the main benefactor and the target person who wants to support the Zerg Queen. It turns out that even the Zerg Queen doesn't believe in herself. Jia Yan laughed softly. Then, he replied, "Queen of the Zerg, don't worry, if things can't be done, I will choose to leave. Trust my subspace ability, but before that, I will try hard to see if there is any way to ease the situation." Jia Yan did not fully express what he said because he was not yet sure whether the coming existence was the Gaia he knew. If it is a senior domain lord who conceals his strength, such as someone with super strong combat power, Jia Yan feels that he may not be able to defeat him unless he uses the kind of super explosives used in Biostar. At that time, he would weigh whether to use explosives, or he might adopt a retreat strategy, so he did not dare to say anything, otherwise it would be very troublesome. Of course, according to him, this visitor is probably the person he is familiar with who has been serving him, Gaia. If it were him, it would be easy to say, "I know this guy's lair." What's more, his fighting ability, Jia Yan doesn't say it is much worse than his own, but it is only half a pound at most. If there is a fight, Jia Yan will enter if he is unhappy. In the subspace, if you go to his distribution center to cause destruction, I'm afraid Gaia will cry to death. Very good, it is getting closer and closer, and the possibility of it being Gaia is getting higher and higher, because I have sensed this energy a few days ago, so Jia Yan can still be unfamiliar with it. He thought for a while, and then completely covered up most of the energy fluctuations that he had originally hidden. Although beings of the same level might still be able to feel a trace, it was difficult to determine who he was. Jia Yan was sneering. He wanted to see how Gaia would solve the matter when he saw it was him. Humph, is this guy still laughing? Wait until Lord Gaia comes, let's see if he can laugh. The dolphin creature looked at Jia Yan with a sneer. As the saying goes, things that are not mysterious are not so scary. He had been worried about this strong man before, but when he actually saw his true form and then knew his identity, he suddenly stopped. So scared. Black Sheep also looked at Jia Yan. After knowing that the big man behind Master Do was a senior domain lord, he had no feelings for Jia Yan. He was just thinking about how to get the big shot to show up later to kill Jia Yan in one fell swoop. Otherwise, he was worried that with Jia Yan's talent in subspace, if the big shot didn't wholeheartedly want to kill him, he might still be able to kill him. He escaped. So he will start to cause trouble later. If both parties have a peaceful attitude, he will definitely stir up trouble. However, they did not expect that Jia Yan was not afraid at this time, but was calmly chatting with the Zerg Queen. "Don't worry, Your Majesty Queen, I can feel the aura of this guy. He is an acquaintance I just met recently. We just wait here for him to come. By the way, I also got some supplies you need from him this time. I'll give it to you later." Acquaintance. Supplies. The Queen of the Zerg suddenly fell silent for a moment, and then her tone seemed to be filled with emotion. She let out a long sigh and stopped talking. She would sigh, not because she was depressed, but because she always felt that she was on a different level from Jia Yan. If a senior domain lord came to trouble her, the Zerg Queen might die from a headache. But as for Jia Yan, not only was he not afraid at the moment, but he was also involved in material matters, as if he didn't care at all. Take the possible crisis seriously. Once upon a time, the Zerg Queen seemed to be like this when she was in her own Zerg territory. Yin yin yin. The coming breath is getting closer and closer like a sun. And with his arrival, any strong person present felt the terrifying nature of this creature, especially those at the galaxy level and above. The closer they were to this kind of strength, the more terrifying they knew it was. After all, ordinary creatures below the star level feel that this power is terrifying, but it is just like ants looking at humans and elephants. They both feel that it is very powerful, but they cannot tell the difference. But those at the Star River level and above, those who are strong, will know how big the gap is. At least for ordinary galaxy level people, the more they sense it, the more they know that they are definitely powerless to resist this earth-shattering power. And the visitor, as if he wanted to show off his fighting power, flew all the way over, suppressing his brainwave power to the maximum, becoming panicked all day long, and the blazing flames came. "Oh. Then the enemy, even though I am here, are you still suppressing your own aura? Haha, it doesn't matter, as long as you are not a senior domain master, it doesn't matter to me." The visitor creature calmly used its brainwave power to scan the battlefield. For the first time, he felt that one of the creatures he glanced at seemed familiar, but he didn't care. Text download address. Phone reading. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2425. As a senior territory lord, Gaia is almost invincible in this large starry sky. Only the senior territory lords in the distribution center and several powerful forces can compare with him. Therefore, he came to such a not-so-special starry sky to help a nearly senior domain lord who had taken refuge in him. He could only say that he came here to have fun and play. As senior territory lords, they no longer act like those who are at the beginning of the galaxy, or those who are below the elementary level of the galaxy. They act more as they please, because in almost the entire galaxy, there are not many dangers for them to pay attention to, or in other words, if they don't take the initiative to seek death or go to some more dangerous places, then there won't be any problem. In our distribution center, I was bullied by a senior domain master with subspace talent. Although I am not afraid of him, I have to take into account my own power and cannot do anything to him. I even have to be humble. This tone is really difficult. Swallow it. Gaia thought depressedly while flying. In the distribution center he opened in cooperation with several senior domain masters, he suffered a loss from Jia Yan for the sake of the overall situation. If it weren't for this existence, he was a strong man with subspace talent. At that time, he and the few behind him, he is a senior domain lord, so maybe we don't care whether he is senior or not and just give him a good beating first. It's a pity that the opponent is a senior domain master. If he can't defeat them and escape, I'm afraid they will be the unlucky ones. So Gaia chose to swallow her anger. The grievances felt at that time turned into the motivation to vent. It happened that the dolphin domain master here came to the door, so he took advantage of his fighting against injustice attitude and came to take care of the business here. I don't know if this coming existence is enough to make me happy. If it is a territory lord who is stronger than dolphins, it will be interesting. But if not, it is not interesting. It will kill him in one blow. It's just a toy. Gaia swept across the large battle area calmly, and immediately saw the dolphin territory lord in the mist. It seems that this battle has not yet started, and the dolphin creature is simply calm and composed. This also shows that his enemy should be a very ordinary domain lord. Yes, he has said it before, that is a more difficult subspace talent. Subspace talent? Hey, I just want to teach the existence of space talent a lesson, so that I can regain some of my own potential from Jiayan. Closer. As long as he gets closer to there, he can use his own methods to defeat that space talent existence in one breath and relieve his depression. As for whether he will kill the strong man, it's hard to say. Maybe he will kill him or not, it all depends on his mood and what effect the dolphin wants. Presumably he would kill him himself, otherwise he would offend a domain master with subspace talent, let alone him, even he would be in trouble. After all, he was so powerful, and if a subspace talented creature intercepted him at his door, he would lose money. Disastrous. However, when Gaia was about to think too far and felt that he should directly kill the enemy with that space talent in one breath, his eyes returned to the behemoth confronting the dolphin creature, but he suddenly stopped. Because it was still a bit far away just now, and the other party did not release the brainwave power, he did not see clearly the true face of this guy. But now that he is close, his true face is instantly clear to his mind. At this glance, Gaia felt that her mind was completely shaken. This is it. This, the person the dolphins want to deal with is actually him. This. After Gaia's expression became extremely shocked, she instantly felt bursts of anger. He's Mua. I finally got rid of this guy, you old bastard, how long have you been your enemy? Damn, you are said to be a domain lord with average strength. I think you are very clever. This is simply a subspace talented person who has reached the level of a senior domain lord. Not to mention that he has subspace talents and can hide in subspace to fight. Even if he is allowed to fight me while standing in the normal starry sky, it is still unclear whether I can win. Ha ha ha, Lord Gaia, please forgive me for missing my welcome from afar. The dolphin creature didn't know anything at all. When it saw the arrival of the senior domain master from a distance, it immediately flew into the sky quickly and leaped straight towards Gaia. Even when passing through a large mosquito, there is not much precaution. Because to him, as long as this adult arrives, what does Jiayan mean? He is basically a clown. Even if he is allowed to attack, the attack will be ineffective in front of Lord Gaia, and he will be completely neutralized with the help of Lord Gaia. So he wasn't afraid of Jiayan at all, he just flew past Jiayan as coldly as ice. The strange thing is that it seems that Jiayan was also frightened and did not take the opportunity to attack this ordinary domain master. Black Sheep was silent for a moment. He didn't know who the strong man was coming from the sky, but he knew that this strong man was definitely someone who far surpassed himself and far surpassed Lord Dolphin. As expected, it is indeed the central star field of the Milky Way, and there is such a terrifying powerhouse hiding there. After he thought about it, his whole body flew suddenly, approaching the two powerful men who had already touched each other in the starry sky. Gaia's face darkened when she saw the dolphin creature flying over, but she didn't speak. Lord Gaia, put aside the enemy for now. Let me introduce you first. The person next to me is a newly acquired subordinate named Black Sheep. Although Black Sheep is still very weak, I judge that his future potential will not be high. How much worse than me, sir? Please give me more support for this junior. The dolphin creature seemed to be extremely familiar with the senior domain master, and his words were full of familiarity. But in fact, the two sides only met 3 or 4 times, and each time it was the dolphin creature who sent gifts to Gaia in the name of the master of this force. Gaia Jiao continued to be silent for a few seconds. When the black sheep also carefully avoided the intercepting Jia Yan, and then flew to the side of the senior domain master. Call. A slap with huge pressure, extremely fierce, slapped the dolphin creature on the head. What? Who? This is. Everyone was shocked. Or should I say, confused. Especially the dolphin creature himself, he was stunned. He let the huge slap hit his face, and then suddenly felt the world spinning. He was injured and looked sluggish after the blow. A mouthful of blood spurted out from the corner of his mouth, which showed that there was still a huge gap in combat effectiveness between a powerful territory lord and a senior territory lord. But the problem is not that here, it is that this dolphin creature is not ready to evade, otherwise it would not be defenseless at all. God knows that the big shot he relies on will do something to him in this situation. Grown-ups. The dolphin creature was knocked back hundreds of kilometers, and finally stopped flying. Shamelessly, he turned back to the dolphin's head and looked at the patron behind him speechlessly. God is pitiful, this blow is a real blow, it will take at least half a year for him to recover. This is also a huge loss of face for a terrifying strong man. If the attacker in front of him is not a senior domain lord, he might be about to explode right now. What's so big? Dolphin. You've offended a big shot, and you still want me to take the blame? Damn it, do you know who this is? Gaia roared angrily, and the entire starry sky shook, as if telling how terrifying the senior domain lord was and how angry he was at the moment. Ah! Big shot. The dolphin creature felt a thrill all over his body, and then turned to look at the indifferent Jia Yan. He felt that another unbelievable thought flashed through his mind. Isn't he Jia Yan? A big shot. This asshole, since you know Master Jia Yan, you should know that Master Jia Yan is a senior domain master with amazing strength. A senior domain master with subspace talent. Do you understand what I mean? Gaia was so furious that she wished she could hit this stupid dolphin-like domain master on the head again. At this moment, the dolphin territory master felt like his head was exploding as to what was really going on. Impossible. Senior territory lord? Isn't Jia Yan just promoted to territory lord a few years ago? Black Sheep said so. The dolphin creature was confused when he heard the word senior domain master. When he heard the word senior domain master with subspace talent, he immediately understood why the senior domain master he had taken refuge in was so respectful to Jia Yan. Got it? A senior territory lord is already on an equal footing with Gaia. Even if he is weaker than Gaia, it is definitely not much different. What's more, according to Gaia's explanation, Jia Yan is a senior territory lord with subspace talents. As for a senior domain lord in the subspace, it cannot be described in terms of combat effectiveness, because what is scary about them is not their combat effectiveness, but their extremely strong escape ability. Under normal circumstances, strong people of the same level cannot escape at all. If they can't kill him, even if there are many people to surround them, they can still escape easily. After that, these forces who are chasing the subspace talented senior domain masters will wait for their endless counterattacks. Such a senior subspace talented domain master does not have to fight head-on with another senior domain. They can just use random sneak attacks to bring down a large force, until the leader of the force apologizes to him. Even senior domain lords were forced to leave other places in the starry sky, otherwise things would be difficult to end. In the entire galaxy, if you want to ask what kind of talent all domain owners are afraid of, to be honest, subspace talent is definitely among the top 3. Senior territory lord with subspace talent? Impossible. He didn't reach the territory lord level 4 or 5 years ago. How can he be a senior territory lord now? Sir, you must have been deceived by him. At this moment, Black Sheep seemed to have finally come to his senses. He suddenly felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, and his whole body shivered. If Jia Yan was really a senior domain lord, he would be finished. It was really going to be over, because regardless of anything else, it would be easy for a senior territory lord to deal with him and the dolphin territory lord behind him. What's more, Jia Yan's talent is also a talent in subspace. It's not easy to deal with such a being, and he can't even escape without being able to escape. So he didn't believe it, even if it was the truth. If Jia Yan was really a senior domain master, he would be finished and dead. What's more, it's actually impossible. In 4 or 5 years, just being promoted to the top of the intermediate galaxy and breaking through to territory lord is a miracle, not to mention being promoted to the senior territory lord level. Is that a joke? Oh, were you not a domain lord a few years ago? Hearing this, Gaia was suddenly startled, and then her eyes flashed with complicated brilliance, looking at Jia Yan's true form, who had not said a word in the same place. His look was simply weird. Jia Yan is a senior territory lord. That was their previous judgment through breath, but the breath was only a temporary judgment. In some races or certain cultivation techniques, it is not impossible to improve one's breath, disguised as the stronger one. If this is really the case, Gaia can't tell, today I can really get my revenge. Jia Yan was speechless for a moment. He felt that the strong men in the universe were really all real creatures. If you are strong, he will respect you, but if you are not strong, or find that your previous strength was completely fake, then they will turn into the most ferocious beast and bite you to death. But he can't talk about others, because he himself is like this. Strength is the prevailing law in the universe. However, he wasn't pretending. Bear. In an instant, a power that was not inferior to that of the senior domain lord Gaia in front of him rose boldly from its giant mosquito body, like a blazing flame, causing panic all day long. Lord of Gaia, I haven't seen you for a long time. I wonder why you participated in helping me fight for the original power? I hope you don't want to be my enemy. After all, the relationship between us was good a few days ago. Jia Yan used his extremely low male voice to ask Shiyuan calmly and asked the senior domain lord in front of him. There was no fear or flinching in his words. Pretending strong people cannot pretend to feel this way, because they can only pretend to not retreat at most, instead of being like Jia Yan, who presses forward step by step, as if they can't wait to fight with this Gaia. Well, Gaia was still doubting something, but when she felt the extremely real brainwave power, and realized the terrifying energy that belonged to the senior domain master level, she suddenly understood. Why are you so suspicious? Especially Mua. I'm so funny? Didn't I put in so much effort to send this guy away last time, and now I'm running countless kilometers here just to piss him off again? Damn, I'm really stupid. Text download address. Phone reading. Reborn as an interstellar giant mosquito. Author, Bulletin U. Chapter 2426. Haha, misunderstanding, Mr. Jia Yan, I just came here to hang out. I didn't expect to meet my friend, a guy who I had a close relationship with, and he came to me for help. I was thinking that I have been here recently. It's nothing, just taking advantage of the joy of just finishing the transaction with Master Jia Yan. I came over to see how things went, but I really didn't expect to meet you. It was really a misunderstanding. It was as if Gaia had suddenly changed her previous attitude as a top expert and turned into a groveling dog licker. Anyway, he licked this subspace strongman at his own home in the distribution center. What does it mean to be embarrassed in this strange place? As for whether he is arrogant at first and respectful at the other, his attitude changes very quickly. This is completely normal. In the universe where strong people live, such things happen every day. For ordinary strong people, this is the general scenario. They were all ruined. But the problem is, Gaia is already a senior. He actually wants to be arrogant and respectful to Jiayan. This. Could it be that Jiayan is really a senior domain master? Otherwise, why would this unfamiliar senior domain master behave like this? It can't be that he is playing a double act with Jiayan, right? Haha, am I misunderstanding? Okay, I believe you, Lord Gaia. After all, we have a good relationship. But since you are familiar with this Lord Dolphin, I will not pursue him for your sake. The issue of his life is just that he can't escape the death penalty, so I have to make him pay a certain price. What do you think? Of course, Dolphin, come here, admit your mistake to Master Jiayan, and make amends. As soon as Gaia's expression changed, she completely surrendered to Jiayan. At least the current interests did not reach the point where he would not hesitate to start a war with Jiayan. The dolphin creature was originally menacing, but the backer behind him became as groveling as Jiayan. He suddenly understood that the person in front of him who had been promoted to the domain master for only a few years, it was definitely not just a junior domain lord as he imagined, but a being whose strength was at least on par with Lord Gaia. Moreover, he is a person with strong subspace talents who cannot even provoke Gaia, or is unwilling to provoke him, so it is even less possible for him to provoke him. Master Jiayan, I just offended you. I will apologize to you. I will give you any compensation you need in the future. As for this black sheep, Master Jiayan, this person is the instigator. He has been encouraging me to attack the noble forces, but now that I have finally woken up, I would like to ask you to punish this culprit again. Well, the dolphin creature just threw the black sheep out, completely shirking all its responsibilities. Lord Dolphin. You. Black sheep was on one side. After hearing these words, his eyes widened, wondering if something had gone wrong in his own world. Obviously he and others came here with full confidence. He believed that even if the so-called big man behind him didn't intervene, even if it was just him and the Lord Dolphin behind him, he could easily defeat the forces of the Zerg Queen and the people behind her. The possible appearance of Jiayan was eliminated in one fell swoop, but what he never expected was that even if Lord Dolphin took action and even the senior domain lord behind him showed up, he would still end up like this. What am I? Do you think that this is my fault? Without your temptation, I would come here to confront Lord Jiayan? Now you have caused me to hurt Lord Jiayan and kill his clone. Are you happy? Huh, Master Jiayan, I object to killing this guy on the spot, otherwise it will be difficult to eliminate the hatred in my heart. The dolphin creature roared fiercely at the black sheep, and his words were full of emotion. People who didn't know it would really think that it was all the black sheep's fault. But Black Sheep knew that his coming this time was entirely due to his leader. He was even affected by the other party's brainwave power. Although he was following the trend, he must not put all the blame on himself. Oh, it's actually this black sheep who is causing trouble in the middle. That's great. This person used to be a member of my Zerg Queen's force. Since he rebelled and stirred up dissension this time, I will personally take action to get rid of him. Jiayan said calmly. Then everyone felt that the surrounding heaven, earth, and stars were suddenly covered by an invisible hand. Jiayan's combat-type domain master aura completely burst out. The reason why the terrifying combat power born from the superstar is different from that of ordinary strongmen is because of the purity of its energy and the energy squeeze that has never been experienced by outside strongmen. This shows that Jiayan releases it to the outside world. After releasing their pure energy, everyone felt their whole bodies tighten. At this moment, among the people who were actually more surprised, apart from the black sheep and dolphin creatures, as well as people like the Zerg Queen, even Leda, who had followed Jia Yan from the beginning, was also extremely shocked. Lord Jia Yan is actually a senior domain master? Senior? How is it possible? Although he had always known that Jia Yan had become stronger and had been promoted to a level that ordinary domain lords could not deal with, he really didn't know that Jia Yan had become a strong man at the level of a senior domain lord. He had even told a large number of colleagues from the Zerg Queen's force who asked about Jia Yan's strength before that Jia Yan was probably a powerful junior domain lord, because he had seen with his own eyes that Jia Yan held down several a powerful domain master. But now take a look. What the hell? Master Jia Yan is not a powerful junior domain lord at all, but a senior domain master. This is awesome. I have actually been traveling with a senior domain lord. Oh my god, ha ha ha, I must hold on tight, otherwise I will definitely regret it in the future. Leda only felt that in the future, he would definitely hug this tall man to death, otherwise he would definitely regret it in the future. But he thought so, and many of the Zerg Queen's old friends around him, one or two, actually thought so too. The competition in the future would definitely be fierce. It's just that the current situation and the thoughts that are surging through them are only fleeting. The real focus of attention is still on the scene of Jia Yan taking action. There are still many people, especially those from the enemy side, who doubt Jia Yan's true strength. As long as he takes action, he will know his actual combat effectiveness, and whether he is really a powerful senior domain master and a liar who has deceived Gaia. This matter can be known at a glance. No matter what, Black Sheep is still a strong man who has reached the level of a territory lord. In fact, it is precisely because he is still a territory lord that Jia Yan did not say who among the strong men in the Zerg Queen's forces would come forward to solve the problem. After all, even the Zerg Queen herself was seriously injured at the moment and could not solve the Black Sheep at all. Only if he takes action himself, he can be both a deterrent and a guarantee. Kill me? Come. Black Sheep was also crazy at this moment. He must be crazy. Because people are going to kill him. If he is not crazy, he will not survive today. He has even felt that his life may come to an end here today, because even if he escapes Jia Yan's challenge, he is afraid that the Dolphin Territory Lord behind him, or the more mysterious and powerful guy the Sub-Region Lord would not give him a chance to escape. Of course, if he can avoid Jia Yan's attack, it means that Jia Yan is not a senior domain lord, then things can still turn around. After all, everyone is aggressive towards him because they believe that Jia Yan is a senior domain lord. If he knew Jia Yan is not a senior domain lord, let alone himself, even Master Dolphin and the new senior domain lord will probably be the first to cause trouble for Jia Yan. In that case, the dead situation will be solved. So what he has to do is to get rid of the fact that Jia Yan is a senior domain level expert. Come. The earth-shattering momentum, but when the Black Sheep roared, it suddenly seemed as if nothing had happened. Jia Yan sneered and used his earth-shattering brainwave power to gradually, slowly, little by little, converge. Return to your own body. Black Sheep is extremely surprised. What? Don't do anything? Ha ha ha, Jia Yan, I knew that you just used tricks to deceive Lord Dolphin and the senior domain lord. Jia Yan, you still haven't behaved until now. Just hang up your hands. Black Sheep originally thought that Jia Yan's fear of taking action proved that he was just showing off. But as he spoke, Black Sheep realized that everyone around him was looking at him pitifully. He also gradually felt that the power of his words was disappearing quickly. Suddenly, Black Sheep seemed to notice something strange. He gradually stopped speaking, and while the world was spinning, he looked at his body. Where is the body? In the universe, he saw only a few hundred kilometers behind him, the black body of a huge creature, far away in a distant place, gradually fading away. The head on it is gone. Because Black Sheep himself is already mentally divided. How could it be, When? Black Sheep was so surprised that he was completely caught off guard. If Jia Yan used a terrifying attack to kill him, he would still be able to accept it. But the horror of this blow was absolutely terrifying, but it was so terrifying that as a junior territory lord, he didn't even see it, so it was beyond the scope of Black Sheep's understanding. Senior. There were too many hallucinations between heaven and earth. Everything about the moment before death appeared like a fleeting glimpse of flowers. When the Zerg Queen's force was first established, Black Sheep was strongly invited by the Zerg Queen herself, and later entrusted with important tasks. He was also very supportive of the trip to the galaxy's central star region, and he has made a lot of contributions. His contribution is definitely deserved. But the credit cannot offset his sins. During the days when he came to the central star field of the Milky Way, Black Sheep did too many things that harmed the Zerg Queen's power, and even tortured her colleagues in the Zerg Queen's power. His evil has brought him to this end. At the same time, the death of Black Sheep also proves that if you go astray, or because there are too many strong people in the central star field of the Milky Way, you are afraid and become a pure coward, you will eventually be defeated. Thinking of relying on a strong person, this path is not feasible. At least if he wants to take this path by himself, it is okay, but it would be too much to drag the Zerg Queen's forces to his death in order to gain points for himself. Overdone. So Black Sheep got what he deserved today. Well. When the Black Sheep's eyes, the old rival of Black Sheep, gradually lost their luster, Jia Yan, who looked at Black Sheep calmly, couldn't help but let out a long sigh. To be honest, just because of the familiarity, putting aside the grudges and hatred, from the perspective of a bystander, Black Sheep is a bit miserable, and it is natural that the psychology is distorted. When he was in the Zerg Queen's power, he was suppressed by the Zerg Queen. Although he was known as the second most powerful and even powerful person under the Zerg Queen, he was unable to get ahead. When he came to the central star field of the Milky Way, it was because his strength was too different from that of the local strong men. Even the Queen of the Zerg, who he thought was an invincible warrior at the beginning, became a minor role. As a result, Black Sheep's heart became at a loss what to do, pride and confidence were lost, and it became what it is now. But this is the world of the strong. If you lose your ambition, want to follow evil ways, or want to fight too much for things that don't belong to you, then the chance of being backlashed by these beliefs is also very high, and the risk of death. It won't make you any worse just because of which strong person you rely on. Instead, it will be because you trust the strong person you rely on too much, blinding your eyes and leading you to this ending. Jia Yan sympathized with him. And Jia Yan knew that he probably played a key role in the change of Black Sheep's mentality. After all, Black Sheep is the proudest person in the early stage of being promoted to territory lord. To be hit on the head in public by a mid-level peak powerhouse like himself, in the middle level of the galaxy, would make anyone else's mentality collapse. It is understandable, but it does not mean that Jia Yan will agree with his approach. So the Black Sheep is dead. That's right. Black Sheep is dead. Jia Yan saw with his own eyes that the last light in his eyes disappeared. After his casual subspace blow, such a weakest territory lord had known the principle of survival. At the same time, he also heard a very slight female voice on the patchwork planet, and sighed slightly. I'm afraid there is more love and hatred between the Zerg Queen and the Black Sheep. Even Jia Yan doesn't know whether this Queen's friend really had a relationship with this Black Sheep colleague. If so, well, I can only say sorry. Anyway, no matter what, Black Sheep, the traitor who threatened the entire power of the Zerg Queen, was also a being who had some grudges with everyone, and now he is really dead. Master Jia Yan, your fighting ability is really refreshing to me. I think I might not be able to withstand it. It's so powerful. When everyone looked a little melancholy, Gaia laughed. He smiled sincerely, as if he was truly welcoming the death of the culprit. Text download address. Phone reading.